Oh my god. Alright. What's up, guys? Welcome, everyone. My name is Speedy. Welcome, NotSoSpeedRuns. I didn't unmute the I didn't mute the stream. There we go.
I was going to say, neither did I. I was like, All right, go ahead.
Welcome, everyone, to Blades in the Dark 6 and 20. We are back here with our fantastic cast and crew. Guess who's back today?
Back again. Sling is back. Tell a friend. Sling is back.
Sling is back. Sling is back.
Oh, wait.
I'm back. Hi, everybody. Did you miss me? Probably not. I'm here anyway.
Not so much now.
God, I'm glad that this is how we started off. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be back here and have Louise back. Let's go ahead and get started by going around to our wonderful cast and crew. This time, we're gonna do things differently because I know Trendane hates it when I start with him, and we're gonna start with Louise, who's back.
Shit, that's me. Hello, everybody. I'm Louise, and I'm back, and I'm happy to be back. I'm here today playing Sling, who is a sharpshooter, a teenage sharpshooter with a little bit of a drug problem. But you know, she's working on it, and it's going to be fine. And I'm sure that Sling's absence for the past 2 weeks is also fine. And there's absolutely no reason for anybody to be concerned or worried or look into it or even find me. I'm fine. I'll just, I'll go to the library, I'll pick up some books. It'll be fine. Moving on to the next person.
We didn't look into you at all.
Good. Because there's nothing to find.
Sling was just at the library.
Just at the library.
No, where all the good druggies go.
Oh gosh.
Grin.
Hi guys, my name is Joff. You can find me on Twitter and here on Twitch as @Owlbare. I'm not going to do the thing. You know the thing. I'm not doing the thing. I play Sesereth Grines, otherwise known as Jinx Godiffer. He is a Scotlander, ex-Scotland army, turned mercenary, turned smuggler, turned mass murderer, and he is an alcoholic. And with that, let's go to MadameGandalf.
Hi, my name is MadameGandalf, and I scratched myself on the nose this morning in the shower, and makeup won't cover it properly with my own nails. So that's my life. I play Ari. That's pretty much sums her up as well. And I'm really excited to be back here. This is one of the highlights of my week. And I love all these beautiful buggers on the screen here with me today. So I'm excited to see what we're going to do now that we're all back together. How are you doing, Trendane?
Oh, me? I would say that I'm doing fine, except for the fact that my car won't start.
That's a bummer. We need to start the goats instead then.
That's a bonnet.
I have
doesn't work. I did it anyway.
I have money I need to deposit into the bank, and I need to get a haircut, and I need to buy groceries, and it's like my car won't start. So yeah, that's a little frustrating. Apparently, I'm gonna have to buy a new battery, which is like 2 or 3 weeks worth of groceries right there. Yay! So aside from that, here in the game, I play somebody. Yeah, I do. Called no, it's not. He's not called Deshum. That's a different name. That might be his uncle, though. His uncle?
Can he be called Deshum, though? Because that's a great name.
That's a good Eruvian name.
I like that name.
Strong Eruvian name.
It's a strong name.
That's right. A strong Eruvian name. I think his uncle, probably. His uncle who gave him the mask is probably Deshum. Anyway, I play Hocus, the Whisper. It's important to pronounce it like that for some reason. I don't understand why. But we are we're in a whorehouse, which is not all that enticing to Hocus at all, but that's okay. He's been making rope, so everything's fine. Aside from that, Johnny?
Well, I think Speedy needs to introduce himself first, right?
Fuck that guy.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know how.
Who?
I don't know how this
Wait,
works.
who?
I agree.
He's
Hey.
just a streamer, you know.
Wait, who? I've never,
All
I've
right,
never heard it. He
stream's
sounds
over.
like a
Everyone
dick.
go home.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. It's nice to see you all again.
This is actually the secret third crew because I'm just leaving. But I am Speedy. I am playing as Sky, the leader of this little group of rapscallion smugglers who, well, they seem to have their minds set on destroying the city, but things haven't quite worked out for them so far, and, well, who knows what goals they actually have in mind next. So, yeah, that's Sky. Johnny, do you want to tell everyone about yourself and remind everyone what the hell is going on here?
I'm just gonna jump right into it because I have a feeling that we're gonna get right to it. I'll do plugs at the end. I'm Johnny. I'm the GM for 6 and 20. Sadly, the Shroud did not get to play last night. Happily, this means that the Phantom can move forward and possibly advance the story and not be behind, in some way, shape, or form.
You overestimate us.
I actually don't overestimate you guys. I underestimate you guys sometimes, and I always come away immune. So, where we were. All right, you guys successfully finally made it to a safe haven inside of Silkshore, which happens to be a brothel / pleasure house, specifically in part of Silkshore. And this is a little bit of a change from what I said last week. So there are the different districts for Silkshore or the different parts of Silkshore. There's a main brothel district, and then there's more like an artist sort of, a commune kind of sort of like a neighborhood, sort of like Greenwich Village in a lot of ways, or what Greenwich Village used to be. And this is a place where what was the name of this place? Something Rose, I believe, was what.
Scarlet Rose?
The Scarlet Rose was what Ari came up with last week. But so this place is sort of like the pleasure den for people who work in the pleasure trade. This is more of a private establishment. It's more of a down kind of a mellow thing. People come here to indulge their own vice instead of helping others indulge their vice. And so Ari knew that this was a safe haven. You all came back here. There was a couple of attempts there was an attempt to deflect heat. There was a reduction of heat and a bunch of the other downtime actions that were taken. We closed the show with Sky indulging his vice with the help of Hocus.
not in a dirty way.
Hey, if
There was a private room.
There was a lot of interpersonal, communication going on. There was a lot of sharing, and I believe a devil's bargain was involved. And
I'm not that kind of hooker.
Man, I missed out on a lot. Let's go back.
well, so Hocus took a devil's bargain in order to help Sky slice off a little bit of his soul.
A devil's bargain that he still doesn't know what it was.
You're absolutely right. I'm a little hesitant to not tell you, but anyways, just to fill in the last bit of that blank.
I can take my headphones off and not listen if you want to explain to people what it was.
All right. Oh, I'm going to ask you to do that. Not yet. I'll tell you when. So Hocus helps Sky slice off a little bit of his soul in order to feed his sister, which is the way that they had figured out was going to be the best way for Sky to indulge his vice and communicate with his sister to get her to stop screaming, because ever since she was put in a spirit bottle, she was screaming madly. Just a constant cacophony of noise that basically only Hocus and Sky could hear. And I believe there was a brief discussion about whether Ari actually heard, and I think that she heard something, but she wasn't sure what was going on. Anyways,
it wasn't helping Goat either.
No, it probably was not helping Goat. However, Goat is also in his own state because Sling has disappeared, and when we found Goat, he was curled up in a ball and just whimpering and crying. So there's clearly something going on there too. Now, Hocus, I'm gonna Trend, I'm gonna ask you to take your headphones off, and I'll signal to you when it's time to put them back on.
Okay.
All right. So, even though he doesn't want to know, it's interesting because the devil's bargain that he took is not exactly affecting him. It's more that it affects Sky. And chat voted, and they determined that Sky gains the notice of a hidden dimmer sister in this circumstance when he slices off a bit of his soul and feeds it to his sister. So that's going to come into play. It's going to affect Hocus for sure, but it's actually targeted at Sky in some way, shape, or form, which is interesting. So with all that in mind, I'm going to wave for Trendane to bring himself back.
Everybody join in.
What an attention whore! I swear to God.
If you just stare at him for a bit, just
You did that on purpose. Anyways, that all has been said.
Okay.
Sky has indulged his vice. He's taken his first downtime action. Sky, what's your second downtime action that you would like to take?
So, we've been doing a lot of things lately, and we kind of may have lost track of like a lot of things that we owned, including like our base, our lair, as well as like our cart with the goats.
Yes.
Look at panic on the
wait, you lost the goats?
Lose.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, in the protective care of the...
I'm sorry, I'm going back to
Dust Bowl
Edinburgh, I
and
can't.
Imperial military.
They know where they are, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, they're not dead.
I leave for
probably.
2 weeks. Unbelievable.
And you lose the goats.
But I think we should really get a hold of a new cart for ourselves. Something discreet that we can use and possibly even live in during our time while we're trying to lay low and establish ourselves again. So, mechanically this is hard to say because based on crew upgrades I know how to do it, but narratively I don't know how it works exactly. But I'd like to acquire a new cart, and I'd like to have the crew upgrade, which we can get because we leveled up last time, of barge, as well as that of quarters. So it is a mobile lair that we can also sleep in.
So you want, basically what you're telling me is that instead of having Donovan's or an established location, what you want is essentially a barge that floats on the canals that allows you to be a little bit more mobile around the city.
Yeah, either a barge or, if possible, like a moving truck with 2 goats pulling it, kind of. The kind of thing that would generally be used to carry large amounts of supplies across the city, but that inside we could have kind of our own little base.
Okay, so what I'm trying to envision. Okay, what I'm trying to envision here is how 5 of you will be able to fit into that thing. And the closest thing that I can come to is, anybody ever see The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus? The Terry Gilliam film. It was the last Heath Ledger film, and they were basically a traveling circus, and they had this big, large sort of cart kind of a thing that was kind of just ornate and strange and somehow worked anyways, but inside it was basically just one reasonably sized makeup room, and there was like little like places to sleep, and you could sleep on top, and there was other things, but they're really, I mean, it was impossible for 3 people in that, or 4 people, no, there were 5 people in that story, 5 people in that story to sleep in that type of a, an exaggerated cart situation. So I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to work in this case. And just from imagination perspective, we can totally do it. I have a feeling that you're all going to be at your throats,
We're
at
all
each
just
other's
gonna have to
throats.
get very, very comfy and cozy. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's
Ari
going to
has
be,
no issues with
I
this.
think one kind of private room that would still be very small at the front, and then everyone else in like fold-out bunks.
You could
in
have
the
like bunk
walls.
beds, but without the beds, so you're just kind of like lying like that on top of each other.
Well, sure, absolutely.
There's
Like I said,
just slats between you.
it's entirely on you guys if that's what you want to do. I'm just suggesting that from a narrative perspective, it's kind of a weird like description that you're going to have to come up with. So I'm gonna throw it back to you guys and say, figure it out narratively how it's described.
All right.
Mechanically speaking, you can take those upgrades and you will get you can find yourself, you can acquire a cart and do all of that. The real question then becomes, how are you going to move about the city and not be noticed if you're smugglers?
Well, so I would imagine that it like having a very large cart like this is not that uncommon.
Okay.
If we were to, if from the outside, if it looks like, you know, a very large transportation cart, something that would be used for like movers or, you know, anyone that was moving large amounts of supplies, that we could actually have something that would be reasonable, like a, you know, like a freight truck or something.
Right. I'm imagining that it's possible. You'll have two goats. You're talking about two goats and having two goats that are essentially 10 feet tall, probably a ton and a half among them. There'll be a lot of muscle. They'll be able to move whatever it is. Absolutely. It's yeah, okay. I mean, but you're gonna have to accept that there are going to be some limitations, like the case with the barge, right? If that was your HQ, there are the limitation that you wouldn't be able to move onto the streets with anything because it's waterbound, right? So narratively, the description, what the description does is it helps me figure out, well, is it really going to be able to get down those streets? Because there are certain places like in Crow's Foot where the streets are incredibly, you know, tiny, and there's maybe one or two person across and barely fitting through, and there are tight corners, and there's you know archways, and you know things look, you know, incredibly compact and claustrophobic. So that's just from a narrative description, that's all I'm asking for. But yeah, so absolutely. How would you go about doing that though? How would you go about making that acquisition?
So I think that the only way that I could really think about doing it is turning to the Hive, who we have connections with. They're one of our friends. And
We have friends?
Yeah, well, you know, allies. People who we, you know, give a percentage of our sales to for protection. But basically say to them, you know, we may have lost our base, but we still have these connections that are valuable to you. And if you want us to continue, I don't know if you want to like go into roleplay here.
Well, I'm wondering if this is almost like a social engagement, or a score of some kind. If that's the approach that you want to take, then there might be some give and take going on. I mean, it might be as simple as a score that's a negotiation process, or it might be, you know, necessarily a long-term project to make it come essentially out of, almost out of thin air in a lot of ways, because you can take that upgrade, but you guys are from a narrative perspective right now, you guys are in a really isolated situation. You are in a city where there's martial law. You're in a brothel, or essentially a pleasure house, that in a district that really isn't known for you being able to easily acquire stuff.
I'll turn to the table for what they think, and I'll be right back.
Okay. What does the rest of the table think? You guys have any comments?
I was surprised to find out that we had friends in the first place. That was the big shock
true,
to me.
very true.
Otherwise, I feel like, reaching out to any sort of contacts we have seems like our best and only option. I have an idea of how the inside with the sleeping and whatnot would work, because that immediately makes me think of like the those apartments, those really high-tech apartments that you see in Hong Kong, where they have like rolling walls that kind of help reveal a bunch of different rooms and create much more space within a very tiny, compact area. So I still think that we could still sleep, each one of us, without having to just have an orgy every night. And I think that it would just, I think we could find ways around it when it comes to sleeping.
I don't know if you guys were watching chat, but Grimdark, Steam had a great idea. I don't know if you remember the Highlander TV series, Duncan's Barge. He had this awesome barge in Paris, and it would be perfect for even the 5 of us.
I will not say no.
Showing our age there, Joff. Showing our age there, buddy.
I know. I love that show.
I did too.
12.
Speedy is the youngest role player on Twitch.
So let me take a step back as we're having this discussion. Let me take a step back real quick and ask you, Speedy, a question, because I think it's awesome that turning it over the table. I love the ideas, but if you're going to do this in during downtime, then it really should fall into a downtime action, right?
Right.
I mean, so if it's a downtime action, then it sounds like a long-term project. If it's something that you want to explore in free play, there's an opportunity to do that too, on top of it maybe turning into a score, or maybe you instead of going to the hive, you find something that you can steal that makes that may make sense, or there are any number of opportunities for you there. I just think that given where you guys are right now, I think it would be better to explore it in free play versus as a downtime action, because you'll get limited by the fact that it needs to be a long-term project, or it could be an asset, but you'd have to then
cultivate it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, is if we were to acquire it as an asset and basically say, like, we have to pay this back to you, the hive, in order to, so that we can keep it by, doing jobs for you for a while until we have paid off the debt.
Okay, well, so if you're going to acquire it as an asset, it starts off as that one use circumstance, and then right. So do you want to just go ahead and try to roll based on that, and then we can talk about, I mean, you're really limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself in respect to your options and what you can do. I mean, we can role play it out, but there's still some mechanical element that has to come about with using it as a downtime action. You can step out of that and say, make it a part of the next part of the story for free play, right? Or it leads into the score, and that's the opportunity that you can take. It just seems like you're trying to solve a narrative problem or a narrative situation with a mechanic.
Yeah.
And it's like, it seems like a really good opportunity to tell part of the story. That's all I'm saying. Okay, cool.
All right, so I'll save that for free play. Heck, what else could I do? God. Okay, well, I just had my soul ripped from my body a little bit. I'm tired. I'm still a little bit stressed out.
I think didn't you take? No, it was Hocus that took the 4 stress back after he eliminated all his stress.
Yeah, I still have 4 stress though.
Okay, are you gonna have him do that again?
No,
okay.
No, God no. What else could I do? I actually would like to try and reestablish a new cover identity.
As an asset?
Yeah.
Or as a long-term project?
I believe it's... I might have to double-check the mechanics on this, but I think it's considered a downtime action to recreate a cover identity. I can double-check the rules on that, but...
Okay.
In the meantime, though, there's actually also the downtime action of our cohort, which is the vice dealers.
Okay.
I would like to use them to reduce heat.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. You guys are at what? 3 or 5 heat? And with a wanted level of 1.
We are at 5 heat.
Okay, and you still have a wanted level of 1.
Yes.
Okay. All right. To follow up on something that was talked about last week, deflecting heat and wanted level. So briefly, that's still going to be included at some point, but it's just not available to you tonight.
Okay.
So yes, it'll be available at some point. All right. So what are they doing to reduce heat?
So, our entire base burned down, right? And at that point, it seemed like it was probably pretty well known what Donovan's actually was.
Mm-hmm.
I want word spread throughout the Vice Dens that Donovan's is gone. That the entire crew involved has either died or fled Duskfall and is nowhere to be found.
Okay. And so you're essentially spreading rumors. Is there an action that you want to roll that you think applies to it, or do you want to leave it up to a fortune roll?
It's the because it's our cohort, it would roll our crew tier.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. All right. So why don't you go ahead and treat it like a fortune roll, since there's not an actual button for that. Go ahead and roll that for us.
Well, there's a button to roll the crew tier.
Is there? Is there?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
on the crew sheet, just click tier.
Oh, okay. We'll go ahead and do that then.
Bonus dice?
Go ahead and.
I think the fact that everything did kind of burn down, it would make sense for us to leave. Not only would it make sense for us to leave, we tried to. Anyone who was trying to track us after what happened, they would know that we were trying to find a boat to get out of Duskfall.
How would they know that?
Well, anyone who were to try and find, like, tracking the Skovlins or whatever, any rumors of us being around them, they were looking for a boat to get out.
Okay. All right, so that's an additional die.
That's all.
Anything else? It goes to the table. You guys are really enthusiastic about helping this work.
I just can't think of anything.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
How about one for love?
Nope.
Damn it, there goes my opinion.
Nope. Love is not a factor here.
What about Lure?
How about one for the presence of Sling as she returns? There she is around the corner, ready to help. Here, Sky, here's the answer.
Where the fuck have you been?
But no, other than that, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Sorry, Sky.
I'm so sorry, Sky.
Because I was
There's a
going to say
negative.
Donovan's actually did burn down, and that you've already said that. So.
Yeah.
So
Go
Go ahead.
Blue coats, maybe, because the blue coats they're like the power ones, and like they knew that we pretty much killed them. They took some shots at us. Maybe they think that we killed. They saw the fire. We could have died in that fire, and I'm assuming that the guard of the place is going to want to follow us and be like, where the fuck are they going? And they lost track of us, and they can't really find us at the moment. So they're like, they're gone.
Those blue coats were from Six Towers.
Those blue coats were from 6 Towers, yeah.
But they're still blue coats, and they still can't find us. And I'm
And
assuming
there
they talk to other blue coats.
And there were bodies in the fire.
There's bodies, and they're probably charred, so you can't really see all that's a blue coat.
Unidentifiable.
Unidentifiable burnt bodies for the win.
But I guess that all kind of comes under we set fire to the place.
You did set fire to the place. And there are the okay. So, all right. Sure. I'll give you an additional die for that one.
Yes.
But here's the negative.
Damn it.
It's a pretty damn doozy. There are 16 people currently in the custody of the Imperial Army who know the truth. So you're gonna lose at least one die.
Well,
Duh.
do they know about Donovan's though?
I'm gonna assume that they know enough to be able to connect the two of you.
That's fair.
To connect the crew to, at least on some level, they can say, well, Night Market, the carriage that you brought them all back in, right? Because you used your armored carriage to bring it back. I'm sure that some people can infer it's totally possible, but it's not about that whether they can actually connect. It's what they can do for you personally, because you guys were spotted going in and out of Donovan's. You weren't actually all that, cautious about your entry and exit to the Donovan's, wholesale goods, or what have you. Even if they can't connect your name to Donovan's, your description, and based on what everybody knows, there's a gray area where I could see there being a negative. So it's going to be go Hocus. What you got?
What about the other Donovans that burned down or blew up, as the case may be?
What about the other Donovans that blew up?
Well, clearly somebody had it out for the people who run Donovan's. And
Sure.
a lot of people died in that explosion.
Sure.
Could very easily have been the people who may have been trying to move out of Night Market and into Crowsfoot. That's why their carts were over there.
Okay.
And we had several people who were officially representing Donovan's who were doing business over there, and somebody blew them up.
Okay. Your point is?
Another die.
So you're going to turn their negative into a positive for you in this one case.
We do that all the time in this game.
This will
That's
be
what this game is
Like the
about. It's about
point.
taking other people's negatives and making
It's
it a
all we
positive.
have.
You guys seem to think that it's all about winning. This game is about losing. It's about consequences.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
In that
Yeah.
case, we're winning. If it's about losing,
You are
we're
definitely winning by losing.
I was going to say, were you here last week? By that case, Sky is well above you at this point. It's just that is soul flame.
Sky's the limit at this point.
All right. So I'm going to agree with you. That's another plus. So you've got minus and you got plus. So you got 4d6 right now available to you, and so 2d6 from your tier, and 2d6 from the bonus die at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I'm gonna let it fly with that. Let's go with that.
Yay!
4.
4. So you successfully reduce your heat by, I believe it's 2. If we're using heat reduction, downtime, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Let's double check that. Where'd it go? Come on, heat. Yep, it is 2. You reduce your heat by 2. So they are able to successfully begin to spread the rumor that the people who were actually a part of Donovan's all died in the fire, including those that were in the fire and the explosion in Crowsfoot. Are you sure you wanted to do that, Hocus? Because that might come back and bite you in the ass. Just want you to know.
That would never happen.
Nothing has ever come back to bite us in the ass in this game. Ever.
Okay, so
What about that explosion, though? The boat. Anyways.
what boat? I have no idea what you're talking about. What happened with the boat, Sky?
What boat?
A boat full of Leviathan parts that never really got resolved? Who knows?
Oh, you mean that the boat of Leviathan parts that got taken by the Shroud and then subsequently
Anyways.
delivered to the Hive?
Anyways, I think it's
Yeah,
time
that-
for
Think about that part.
Joff's downtime action.
No. You still have a downtime action.
Oh, right. Yeah, I looked up the rules and it doesn't say anything about reestablishing a cover identity, so I guess it would be acquiring it as an asset.
Okay. All right, so this would be a temporary. This acquiring it as an asset would make it a temporary thing, which you can use the next time. And then if you want to cultivate it after that, then you have to make it a long-term project, and we'll make it a simple 4-segment clock. Or you can take it as a 6-segment clock right now, and then it'll be established as a long-term thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's entirely up to you.
I'll go ahead and just roll to acquire it as an asset now as a one-time thing.
Okay.
Now the question is, what actual cover identity do I want? And
Well, I'll tell you what. You can figure that out separately, and you from a that way we can move through the mechanical action of it. And you can just think about it while Joff is doing his downtime actions.
okay,
And then
yeah.
just tell us.
Okay. Can I roll my consort for this?
What is the... So you are acquiring an asset versus it being like the crew asset. So yeah, go ahead and roll that.
Right. Also, because of an ability I have, I get +1 result lever when I acquire an asset.
Okay.
All right, let's go. 6.
Nice. So that is essentially it's going to be a tier 2 asset. Actually, it's a tier 3 asset. Yeah. So whenever you use it in some way, shape, or form, 3 dice will be the default pool.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. All right. Occupants. All right. So do you want to pay any coin or do you use any rep to take another downtime action?
No, I'm good for right now.
Okay, great. Jumping over to Grin.
Okay,
So
this is going to be really quick.
That's
First,
what I heard every single time.
first downtime action is I'm going to get drunk. I need to reduce my stress. I need to indulge my vice.
Okay. So, is there any special aspect of this? Because I don't think you've ever actually, or you may have done this maybe once, but I don't think you ever talked about if there's any particular. Are you just getting straight drunk, or is there like is you drinking something particular? Are you singing in particular songs? Is there some part of the revelry that is being drunk that fits into this?
Well, as part of the narrative, I think the first thing that Jinx is doing is shaving his head and changing his clothes. And he's actually going to go on a pub crawl through Silkshore. And part of that reason is actually to get an ear on the district and see if word from the Imperials is reaching Silkshore, what people are saying, whether there's actually a greater Imperial presence in Silkshore, if they're actually looking for us. But he's also getting wankered. He is going from place to place, and he gets slowly, utterly thrashed. And maybe he picks a fight or two. Maybe he's just trying to blow off steam. He's obviously feeling pretty messed up after the events of the last couple days. And he's also reliving the Unity War. There's a whole lot coming back. And he kind of wants to get away from the crew. He kind of wants a little bit of time, and he wants to work out what he's going to do next.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and roll the mechanical element, which is Indulge Vice. What's your current stress level?
It is 8.
Oh, okay. Probably a good time to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and roll. Let's do the mechanical element and indulge the vice and see what happens.
Okay, it prompts me for bonus dice.
So typically you don't get bonus dice unless unless there's a special circumstance around this. Given the fact that
good whiskey.
Yeah, he does like his spirits.
A very well-aged scotch.
He likes his spirits, but he doesn't believe in spirits.
All right, so I'm gonna give you one extra die in this particular case because of the narrative description that you gave about actually using that also as a time to go off and kind of get a feel for what the word is on the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So you reduce your stress by 4, so you now have 4 stress. Before I tell you if you actually hear anything, and I'm going to make it a fortune roll. What are you planning to do for your second downtime action?
I was what's the heat left on the crew?
The heat left on the crew, I believe, is 3 plus the wanted level of 1. You could go to jail.
He just gets into such a drunk night that he just starts a fist fight and ends up in jail.
Ends up in Iron Hook, yeah.
Iron Hook. Oh,
I mean,
great.
If all the people who we love go to jail, that counts, right?
No.
Quite the opposite, I would say.
Well, in Grin's case, he's got Samandra on one side of this, and then he's got Mercy, who's probably wanting to get just as drunk as Grin is getting as Grin is getting right now, and probably wanting to punch him.
Yeah, I think they both have a grudge against me now.
So clearly, the next logical thing to have happen is for Grin, in his desperate attempt to get drunk again, just goes to throw everything up so he can start drinking again, and winds up throwing up on a blue coat, and thus gets arrested.
He tries to rally and just on my blue coat.
I think mechanically he has to go to jail for a few weeks.
Yeah, that kind of messes things up. Although it would give me the opportunity to be a completely different playbook, a different character. But
that would also give us an opportunity to explore what happens in Iron Hook prison.
While you're gone, we can find Sling.
Riot! There's going to be a riot.
And we just find that she's been in prison the whole time, and she's now like,
guys, it's not so bad. I've become like the leader of the prison gang. It's like, hey guys, how's it going?
And then Brynn and Sling have a sequel, and they get to have a riot and escape.
I just imagine Sling looking like Lady Gaga in the telephone music video. Just walking through and immediately owns the place.
With her guns still, because the guards don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I rule
It's just
the
a
guards.
walking stick.
I'm becoming the new leader of this entire city. Whilst you guys have been looking for me, I've taken over everything.
The whole prison. I've taken over prison.
You've been doing everything all wrong. You wanted to learn how to take over the town. This is how you...
No, you guys could have just listened to me and my goats. I mean, we could have been further along.
Okay, so Grin, before we do a fortune roll to determine what information that you get, because it'll come into play and actually affect your free play, I'm sure, a little bit, and potentially your score. Do you want to reduce heat for your second downtime action? Do you want to train?
I think
it'll be something where it's just like a narrative, it happens later kind of thing that affects now.
I think I'll actually try to reduce heat, because I'm looking at the book, and one of the things is you can command the fear of the local citizens. So I kind of think that as Grin is discovering these rumor mongers, these people that are talking about the events, I think he's going out of his way not to reveal that he's, the Scotlander who's attached to the crew, but basically telling people, you have no freaking idea what you're talking about. And using command, loosely threatening people just to shut the hell up.
Okay, so basically you're taking the same tactic that Sky used the cohorts for, which is intimidating anybody who talks about the explosion in Crow's Foot. Okay, all right, excellent. So go ahead and roll that.
Okay.
So there's not going to be any There's not going to be any position or effect. You're just going to roll it straight up your command.
Okay.
And then command dice, and then additional dice come onto the table.
Okay. Position.
No position, no effect. So there's yeah.
Okay.
It's a downtime action, so that has no bearing on what your roll.
Okay. So. Okay. So I just roll 2d6.
No. So you click on your command.
Yeah.
And then you accept the defaults of position and effect.
Okay.
And then there'll be additional dice that'll prompt you for additional dice. And then I'm throwing it back to you and the table as to whether you get additional dice or not. And no, love is not applying in this case because he is throwing a lot of hate around, Louise.
How about hate then? Let's go with the negative emotions. Hate as an emotion, extra die. There's a lot of it.
There is a lot of it.
There's a lot of hate.
So,
I'm kind of wondering if there's any way for Jinx to leverage stories about himself. I'm kind of wondering if, as he's bumping into Scotlanders.
Well, you did say that he shaved his head and whatnot, so having altered his appearance, it wouldn't seem as much like he's talking about himself.
Right.
Like, oh, that Jinx fella. What a lad, right?
Do we
So I agree with the changing of appearance can have that effect. Would be able to reinforce whatever he's doing without it applying to the identity of Jinx himself.
Right. Extra dice for him just being a total badass and just being like, well, because he is.
Actually, you know what Jinx could do? He could actually sow the seeds of. He could put it out there like counter rumors, basically saying that this character Grin, who was previously associated with some crew in Night Market, is dead, presumed dead, and that his body was in the fire at a certain place called Donovan's.
But that he heard of some other Skav named Muscles who actually saw Jinx Godiver there and was saved by Jinx Godiver.
Yeah, that would work well. Just basically distancing himself from Grin. Oh, he's going to need a third identity.
Yeah, he is going to need a third identity because you're removing the identity that you just have spent an incredible amount of time establishing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 20 plus years, it sounds like.
But it is a great way to reduce heat by claiming that one of the crew is...
Absolutely.
And maybe he's done with Grin. Maybe that didn't pan out too well. Especially if he's thinking about Samandra and Mercy, and again, the events of the last 2 days. He would probably want to distance himself from himself.
Well, wouldn't it even be safer for them as well if Grin was no more?
If it gets back to Samandra and Mercy that Sesereth Grines has perished, although the problem is tying it to Donovan's fire, they're going to know that's fake.
Yeah, there's an obvious big hole because Mercy and Samandra have spent a great deal of time with you since that. And by a great deal of time, I mean an entire night, which is taking forever. But no, seriously.
What if you died on the boat?
They would still know.
No, they would.
We hung out after that too.
Damn it! What if you jumped into the canal?
What if Grin has upped and fled and returned to Scotland?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of some cool narrative thing which I can play into reducing heat while he's on his drunken bender.
Well, you could. I mean, I think that you could do things like talk about. You could spread the rumor that Grin may have perished, and it's not necessarily something that, or that Grin's association with Donovan's has led to him, dying after the fact.
Yeah.
Right? Because of what happened in at Donovan's, there could be some circumstance where it wasn't that actual event, but as a fallout of that event, you know, some other gang or faction or crew basically came up and took you out because it was seen as a settling of a score, and maybe you spread it that way. And that way it plays into the possibility that after Samandra went with the caravan, and subsequently after you guys arrived back at the pleasure house and you separated from Mercy, that she, you know, no longer, you know, knows what you look like or what happened. And so maybe you got murdered on the streets of Silkshore after the fact.
Yeah, that could work.
I will say this, though. You can't change your features that much as a character.
No, I have that.
Not have them recognize
Giant
you.
facial scar.
I could disguise. I could disguise you.
Oh, makeup every day.
That's true. To be fair, she made Sling look not Taikarosi. She can deal with a scar.
Okay,
She's talented.
In that case,
We can give you a new nose.
prior to him going on his drunken bender, and without giving too much information to Ari, he asks her to disguise the scar and, you know, maybe give him a fake beard, a big bushy beard, and a giant honker of a nose.
Yes. How did you know my fetish, Grin?
Oh, God.
But all she's got to work with is peanut marzipan. So
and then he can go about his business, adjusting his nose and sticking the beard back on every now and again, and getting absolutely wasted, while threatening the people that know a little too much, perhaps, you know, and also trying to gather Blue Coat presence, Imperial presence, trying to get a feel for the fallout since the previous day's events. What rumors out there?
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and roll us the command for the reduction of heat,
Okay.
and let's see where that ends up. Wow,
nice.
that's very nice. So you're a very intimidating person when you're not trying to be the nice guy, Grin. You are reducing the heat by 3. So now, Phantom's wanted level is just 1, but they have no heat. So that actually plays really well for you guys. While I'm not going to roll, I'm just going to give you some narrative bits because it's going to play right into free play, and it's perfect timing for a lot of that. So martial law has been established around the city. There is definitely a presence, Grin, as you're kind of moving around Silkshore, you know, kind of stumbling and drinking and sticking your head in at different places. There is a presence of the Imperial Army, but it's not as strong as it was as you were approaching into Silkshore from the Radiant Fields. The rumor on the street is that the city is in various states of lockdown right now. Crowsfoot as a district is completely shut down in or out.
Okay.
Charter Hall, Brightstone, and White Crown are the hardest to move through unseen because they just based on the way the descriptions that you're getting about the presence, there doesn't seem to be a lot of attention being paid to Six Towers, and there's a lot of hubbub around Night Market because of, you know, a fire that burned out of control for a little bit around a Whole Goods kind of a place, but they're paying attention to. They're not paying attention to that so much because the entire city's under essentially martial law right now.
I think that would translate to Jinx passing on to the crew. We're not leaving Silkshore anytime soon unless we have a good way to sneak from district to district.
Right. And it's not going to be easy for you to get through to any district because if you look at the map, Silkshore actually directly connects to Crowsfoot.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was just looking at.
You're gonna have to make your way and move back around in some interesting way, shape, or form, or take the canals.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, again, the presence of Imperials on the Imperial army on the actual streets of Silk Shore, not so much. Blue coats are even, kind of thin, and it seems that like there's a lot of revelry going on among the pleasure houses of Silk Shore, the brothels, the drug dens, because people seem to be celebrating the fact that they're not dead. That seems to be the general sentiment. With the lightning barrier going down, it was rumored that some 100 years in the past something like this had happened before as a mechanical failure, and the city was overwhelmed for a bit. But this time, for whatever reason, the current rumor going around is the Sparkrights were able to get a new barrier up quickly, and that it solved the problem, and that that people are protected, but not everybody believes that. But that seems to be the popular theory. Okay, so reduction of heat is your second downtime action. Do you want to take a third downtime action by spinning coin or rep?
Nah.
Okay. All right, excellent. We're now into free play. A couple things are going to come to your attention almost immediately. Sky, do you connect with your cohort network? Sorry, your Rook network.
Yes, I'd say that's kind of how the heat. Well, I guess that kind of happened independently, but I would like to reach out to them. Yeah.
Okay, so the Rook network would have a couple of bits of interesting information for you. Do they know? Would the Rook network know that you are directly connected to Donovans?
I'd say so.
Okay. Well, they'd report that there's a lot of talk on the streets about what happened, and not all of it is clear, except that Bluecoats from Six Towers were actually seen going into Donovan's. So that piece of information is pretty widely known. Mm-hmm. The occupants of Donovan's were seen to be escaping, or at least it was assumed so, but there's no understanding of what happened to them afterwards. So they're basically conveying to you the information that nobody knows what happens after Donovan's burned down.
Right.
Okay. Couple other things. There was during the initial time right after the tower or the lightning barrier tower fell, there was this set of circumstances that happened in Charter Hall where this mechanical sort of spectral hole thing went on a rampage for a little bit and was attacking someone. And they believe it was related to a theft that actually happened at one of the residences in Charter Hall.
All right.
A new issue of the Imperial Times has just come out, thinking that it's been a day or two since the actual falling of the tower and the barrier and everything else. The headline on it says 2 explosions in one night in Doskval. The Imperial Times happens to be a paper that is distributed weekly, and it travels along the rails, is distributed to all the cities, and it's basically known as a propaganda rag for the Imperium. The headline about the 2 explosions in one night in Doskval talk about the explosion in Crowsfoot, and they talk about the barrier explosion or the lightning barrier tower falling, how the repairs immediately started right after that. The city seems to be secure, but the entire place appears to be under martial law. The Doskval section talks very specifically about 2 things. It mentions the city being under martial law and talks about the lockdown in Crowsfoot specifically, relating to the suspicion is right now that both the circumstances around the explosion in Crowsfoot at the warehouse and that the explosion at the wall, at the breach that happened at the lightning barrier, those are connected in some way, shape, or form. And so there's a major investigation going into Crowsfoot right now. And that's why there's a lockdown. Second thing that's announced after the recent murder or the recent death of the alderman of Crowsfoot at a gala held in Six Towers at the site of a reestablished church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh, Raymond Bowerstone announces that he will be running for the office of alderman of Crowsfoot. You wouldn't recognize it based on the description, but you could put two and two together. And if you were to visit based on the description in the paper, if you were to go back there to Six Towers and look at this particular location, you would probably still see that they're tearing down the gala, or that they're rebuilding the church, which is what the gala was about. It was about announcing the rebuilding of this location in Six Towers of the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh. And then you would be able to make that connection that that's where you were.
Do we know who Raymond Bowerstone is or associated with?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Grin has actually worked for Raymond as a bodyguard at a couple functions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an odd duck, but he pays really well. And Grin took a couple jobs, doing a couple functions, just watching Raymond's back. So that's interesting news to him, and he'll relay this to the crew.
So one of the things that you would know about, I don't know how much you and Slade have talked about the backstory, Joff, but one of the things that you would know about is up until recently, Raymond would not be somebody who would be in the limelight, right? So this would be out of character based on what you know for him.
Yeah, he was a very secretive guy. Didn't really, share much of his story and kept to himself, and that worked for Grin. He was actually a well-paying client who minded his own business and followed Grin's instructions when it came to his safety. It was a decent transaction. I think Grin worked for Raymond like twice. I think that's what me and Slade agreed upon.
I'm just imagining like the Bodyguard movie now.
Slade is Whitney.
Slade is Whitney, yep.
Old Whitney. Do you think that he might need some wholesale suppliers at some point?
At the very least, he might be needing some protection again. Running for alderman and all that.
Except that he's drinking his tomato juice. Except that last night, I think I just killed myself.
I'm relatively familiar with the dead, and you are extremely talkative for one that is still corporeal.
If you could...
Sorry, was that too loud? I can speak quieter if you
want. I need a new name. Shit. You can't call me Grin anymore. Grin's dead. I don't know what you should call me. Call me Smiles.
That might be a bit too close.
Yeah, alright. Call me...
X. It's like
X. Let me find that.
We could call you Wrath.
Louise.
I think that really should be your name.
Right. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay.
No.
You said it. No takebacks.
Jinxie is a great name. What are you talking about?
No, I was saying that we should call him Wrath.
Huh.
Good name.
I like that. Wrath.
Muscles.
No.
Moon point 2.
No, we're going for Wrath.
Bones.
How do you feel about Aldo?
No.
Aldo 3. Aldo the 3rd.
Aldo the 3rd. Let's go with Wrath until.
All right.
Aldo Wrath the 3rd.
We're going with Wrath until I feel. We're going with Wrath until I feel the need to kill Wrath.
Okay.
That's quite fine then.
Perfect. Glug, 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 glug.
So you've been given a whole load of information about what's going on.
Personally, I wanted to call you Smirk.
No.
That actually works. I like
No.
that. Yes.
He'd go
No,
from
not
Grin
that.
to Smirk.
Not that.
And then
Jinx is actually. Jinx has got pen and paper, and he's sort of doing signatures, just seeing how they look.
Since he's older than a fair bit of people,
Yeah.
we could call him Papa Smirk, and I was like, no.
Oh god.
That kind of fits with Mercy, though, doesn't it? Papa Smirk.
Oh, don't.
Okay, so I'm assuming that after your downtime actions, you guys spend a couple of days just doing all of that and getting settled and just waiting for things to die down a little bit. Where do you all end up back after that? Do you all end up back at the pleasure house, the Scarlet Rose that Ari took you all to? Is that where things began again?
I don't think that's a safe space right now, just because we brought some
Guards, and they know that we were
guards.
there.
Yeah. I think trying to find somewhere within Sky's network, within the Rook network, one of the people who we work with, might be a bit safer.
Okay, but you still have to get together at some point and figure out where you're going to end up, right? It's not going to be obvious to everybody that this is where you should go if you all haven't, don't have a pre-planned location. So I'm just trying to figure out where it is that you all end up, and whether it's back at Scarlet Rose or it's at one of your dens. As long as there's some narrative reason for you guys being there, I think that works just fine. I kind of need to know.
From the rumors, how do we know about how the Red Sashes are doing right now?
Not a lot is being talked about the Red Sashes right now, specifically because their headquarters is located in Crowsfoot, and Crowsfoot is on lockdown. So in a lot of ways, Crowsfoot is kind of a black box right now.
All right, so we couldn't really. We can't even get out of Silkshore right now, right?
You could.
Without.
I mean, let's look at the map, right? You could go by boat,
Yeah.
or you could go back through Barrowcleft, or you could go through the Radiant Farms. I mean, there are plenty of ways for you to get around. Remember that when you guys panicked and you guys killed the folks on the cart and you took off, you weren't actually going to Iron Hook. You assumed you were going to Iron Hook. They were going just through one of the bridges to take you across to, essentially another to all the way to White Crown. So you have plenty of opportunities. It's just that Crowsfoot happens to be one of those central locations right now that usually people can pass through, but it's a black box. It's closed down. It's completely shut down to you.
Right.
So.
I'd say just find somewhere safe in Silkshore then. Somewhere on the opposite side of town of where we are right now.
Okay.
Go at a time when not a lot of people are out, and go in through the back door.
Okay.
The delivery bay, the place where we would normally drop off supplies, and say we need somewhere to stay right now.
Okay. All right. So you find yourself you find yourself at a location inside of Silkshore that is essentially a drug den, and they provide you a small space for you all to meet. So now that you've all come back together, Sky has the information that the Rook Network shared back with you guys. You have the paper. You have a comatose goat lying in Hocus's arms because he's binding to Hocus, since Hocus can feel what's going on with him in some way, shape, or form. There's some connection there. What's going on, guys? What are you gonna do?
Can we cut to what Sling is doing?
Nope.
I'm at the library.
She's doing drugs at the library, guys. Read, kids. Read a book.
It's the best kind of drug.
Education is my drug. Back to you.
God.
It's the high that never comes down without significant cranial trauma. But anyway, moving on. Or Alzheimer's, like my family. So, all right, what are our options?
Well, we need somewhere new to stay. That's the first step. Maybe wait till things cool down a bit, but we gotta get a new lair.
Maybe we could rent someone's basement or loft. Maybe we could, I don't know. We do need a space, even if temporarily.
I'm a little anxious about having anywhere not on wheels at this point.
What are you suggesting? We find a big carriage that can hold us all with beds and we move around?
That's
Doesn't
not a bad
necessarily-
option.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be on the street. We would just be on foot the rest of the time.
If we can get something like that, it'd be mighty useful. Of course, it's might be a bit hard to come by right now.
Financially, that is guaranteed. I am loath to go to any place where we have to sublet from someone else. The fewer people that know our names, the better off we probably are.
So we want to find something that we can buy with cash. No paper trail.
Or just the proper paper trail.
Mm.
We do have one friend, or if you can call it that. We still have a deal in effect.
Huh.
They might be willing to provide us something, but they're not easy negotiators. We'd have to give them something in return.
Speaking of the hive,
Only ones I know.
So we're going to become like a circus troupe?
Yeah.
Should I start learning to juggle now or later?
Oh, come on now. You're saying you haven't already learned that in your line of work? Sure, there must
mean,
be
you're not
some
wrong.
man.
You're not wrong.
Can any of you play the accordion? You know, maybe we could have some polka.
would
I draw
say,
the line at poker.
say that I could. I don't play it well, but I don't believe anyone actually does. So, how far beyond? I'm not that familiar with the way the hive really operates. How far outside of night market do their honeycombs reach?
Well, they reach nearly everywhere. They're a merchant guild. I mean, the night market is their hunting grounds, but any goods that go through this city, almost all of them go through them.
So they almost certainly have a someplace down on the docks.
They might actually have somewhere here in Silkshore, because they actually do operate. They own and operate several shops throughout Doskel. If we could find one in Silkshore, that would save us a lot of time. We could make contact that way. We just have to locate one.
Well, not even that. If they've got contacts. Not many places around here operate without their permission. You guys may not have noticed. If you'd been around Donovan's enough, you might have seen a contact come by, check up on us every once in a while. Someone will be here in a week, 2 weeks at most. It might be best just to lay low till then.
So we just twiddle our thumbs for 2 weeks?
We
You
have
twiddle
plenty of
whatever
other
you want to,
things.
dear.
It gives us time to, I don't know, put the feelers out. Maybe we try and find our 5th member.
Find out what this orchestra is about.
God, don't remind me about that. How far off is that now?
That's probably another 2 weeks off.
Where is Sling anyway?
How's Goat doing?
At the mention of the name Sling, you hear a little bit of whimpering coming from Goat.
Oops.
Oh.
Still out there.
Where is she, boy? Where is she? Find Sling, lassie. Find Sling.
I was about to say, like, Sling is stuck in the bottom of a well?
Too bad she's dead then. 'Cause I'm not going in the water after.
So, as you continue to mention her name, the whimpering begins to increase. And you notice that Goat is actually dreaming in some way because his eyes are closed. But he's kind of jerking a little bit, and there's a lot of whimpering.
Maybe the goat needs some fresh air.
I don't know
He
about
needs
that.
a great many things. Can I still see the tether and its current state?
You can't see the tether in its current state because you haven't attuned, and you've already done your meditation during your downtime. So you're not in the same space, right? You're very grounded in the real world right now.
Except for my special ability, Ghost Mind.
Remind me what that does again?
You're always aware of supernatural entities in your presence. Take +1d whenever you gather info about the supernatural.
So this is not a situation. Well, you are aware that Goat is supernatural, but it's not the same as seeing in the ghost field.
Okay.
At least in my head. I mean, if you can give me a narrative reason why you think that would be the case, I'm happy to go along with that. It seems like that's more about you being aware of the presences around you, or for example, radiant energy plants, right? They would distinctly stand out to you. Even if you were not in the ghost field, you were not looking at the ghost field, that they would be standing out to you in a different way, right? So the fact that Goat is there stands out to you because he's a supernatural being of some kind. The tether, the relationship, that connection
Is not
that's
an entity in and of itself.
Right, exactly. It's I'm not sure what the correct word is, but it's a relationship, it's a connection, it's not the actual element of supernatural. It's
Symbolic, effectively, but it's
exactly. So that's the kind of thing where you are aware that he is, but you're not attuned, so you can't actually know what's going on.
Perhaps I should attune then.
You are more than welcome to.
I believe I shall.
Okay. All right. So position is going to be controlled in this case because there's really nothing else going on. The effect depends on, in my head, what you are attempting to do. Are you attuning looking specifically at Goat, or are you attuning with a more sort of a general?
The way I'm thinking of it at the moment is not to steal your bit, Sky, but more like a spider, where kind of running the fingers along or at least kind of just touching the tether to get a sense of any vibrations coming through it, whether the tether is tightening, whether it's shifting position, if there's any kind of motion to it whatsoever, and whether that motion is approaching, going away, or lateral, or whatever.
Okay. All right. So that sounds to me like the effect would be normal then.
So standard.
And then unless you want to take a devil's bargain or unless you want to push yourself for an additional die. I'm having a hard time. Well, I'm trying to. I mean, very specifically, if Sling was there and she was, and drug induced and lure, her attunement or her ability to attune could definitely offer you an assist because it's more of a natural state for her. For Sky, it's still something that he's still working on, and Ari only has the ghost voice ability. So this isn't necessarily something where it would be easy for any of them to offer you assistance here. So
okay.
Do you want to take you want to push yourself or take an additional or devil's bargain?
We'll just run with it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go for it.
3.
Interesting. Okay. So, what is it like when you have difficulty attuning to the ghost field?
Since there is another city within the city, the ghost version of the city, that's the ghost field, several of its, there will be echoes of old doors and old windows and old walls and things that had burned down years ago, but their ghost essence is still there. And so it becomes difficult to tell what is actually the ghost field or the ghost image that is supposed to be here. Is this the actual tether from Goat to her, or is there an older tether from another whisper that was leading off in a given direction, or someone who was in this room who was trying to reach into the ghost field? And those, I keep going back to the word tethers, but those threads moving outward, that they kind of get lost in a jumble of cob.
Okay. All right. So as you're you're beginning to shift into the ghost field, you can see Sling's tether to Goat very clearly, right? It's not only is it just there, it's not just taut and stretched, it's vibrating, and it's vibrating very strongly. Like it's the wave of motion that's going on is very visible to you. It's not just like a kind of a vibrate that just kind of looks like it's blurring the lines. It's very clear that there is this shifting back and forth of it as you see it. And as you begin to kind of focus in on that, you get a little confused because you see other elements around you of those types of connections vibrating in different frequencies, in different shades in the ghost field from other people around you. Because you are able to see through the walls and see the visible residue of what the spectral field can have and what life can do, that the vision of those other connections are blurred a little bit, but you see all of that. And so it's really hard for you to focus in as you're trying to just zone in on specifically Goat's attachment to Sling. You're becoming really confused, and it's almost like this visual, just overwhelming sensation. It's almost like having from an audio perspective, it would be like a cacophony of noise, but it's just so brilliant and causes you to focus. But one of the things that you notice through all of this is that the vibration, the wavelength, the traveling pattern of the connection begins to shorten, and it's moved from the general direction that you guys knew where the breach is, off past towards Barrowcleft. It's moving more, in a direction towards Ironhook, and even continuing to move further and further. Essentially, I believe it's east, right? North, south,
yes.
East, west. Yeah, so more east more towards the eastern part of the city, in that easterly direction. You see that as it's waving, the waving is traveling more towards the east, and it's traveling very fast.
Okay. I think perhaps there are too many people doing lure in this place. It's very distracting. They're just, it's a glow. It's horrible. But I believe she is within the city now. That way. Over there.
And as you're beginning to describe this, just as you're coming out of the ghost field, you see, you take a look down at the actual form of Goat himself. And his physical form is very different than what his ghost is doing, his spirit is doing. And his spirit is running and moving frantically. And you're not sure if that is responsible for the waves that you're seeing, or it's the, whatever's happening on the other end of that tether, essentially that connection. And as you come out and you share that piece of information, all of a sudden Goat just stands up very straight, looks at you, growls really aggressively, and moves to the corner. And is just acting in a way that just is like there is total fear.
I guess that will be all of that.
What did you do?
I don't know. I'm just tired. There's so much things going on.
I understand. I'm tired too.
At some point, he is going to grow tired of waiting. And he will have a far easier time sprinting across a bridge than we will.
So what do we do?
Either we go look... Go ahead.
Do you think we could find her using him? Do you think we should?
The risk of that is that he is only listening to me in as so far as he is right now, because he is somewhat familiar with me and he doesn't know what else to do. Now, given what I'm seeing, on some level, even if only in the ghost field, he knows she is within the city. If we tell him, okay, let's go find her, I'm not exactly certain that we can keep him from just leaving. To follow that command and go.
At the mention of find her, the phrase find her, he starts to bark at the wall.
I know he's no normal dog, but would a leash be enough?
This is where I need to question the GM.
Go ahead. Because Goat is beginning to get even more aggressive with his barking.
Right. The ghost dogs, and of course Louise can answer this as well. When a ghost dog does their thing, do they lose their corporeal form and become a ghost creature and then can just walk through walls and whatever?
I believe that was it. Yeah, they can switch between corporeal form and ghost form. And when they're in ghost form, they can't be seen by the general populace, and they can act as a ghost does.
Okay.
So I will say this as well. It really ultimately is up to Louise, because that's one interpretation. There are plenty of interpretations for the most part of what happens, whether they're corporeal at all. And the fact that she has stated in the past that Goat has been corporeal. So it really, again, it's for her to establish from a narrative perspective. So any of those questions go directly to her.
All right. So there's your question. Is he like those creepy twins in the second Matrix movie where he just and he's just a ghost and he walks through shit? Or
yes is the answer. He is exactly like those creepy twins.
Wow. Out here I was thinking he was a dog.
Well, he's a dog, but that
I'm-
can become a creepy twin.
I'm a little creeped out.
Good.
Could we make like a ghost leash? How's your spirit hook looking?
You don't want me to use that.
I
And
mean,
there is a tone to Hocus's voice that is like, you don't want me to use that. Like, you know exactly why.
all right, I understand that.
It's a raid!
Thank you for.
Wait, are you saying we're being raided? Is that what you're telling me?
I think she is.
Oh, crap. I'm not even dressed for it. I'm wearing this old t-shirt. It's got a wolf face on it.
I'm dressed for the raid. I'm dressed for the raid. Wait.
No, you're dressed for a rave, lass. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
It can be.
So
Thank you
so
much for.
so Goat is beginning to get aggressive at the barking at the wall, and with your attunement still sort of like playing there off in the distance, even though it went badly, you can see that the wave is beginning to get faster. The frequency is beginning to get faster, and that it is continuing to move in an easterly direction. And Goat is beginning to move with it a little bit, like he's almost like he's getting pulled in a way.
Either we go with him now, or he's just going to go right through that wall, and we'll lose him.
All right, we gotta move then.
All right, so I will lean down to Goat, and with what little goodwill we have left between us, I will say, show us.
And at that, what does it look like when Goat enters the ghost field?
Is that a question to me?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
suspect so.
It starts from his head, and well, the people that aren't attuned can't really see what's happening. It looks like he's just becoming slowly invisible, but it almost trickles down. So his head disappears, and then his shoulders, and then his back, and his hind legs, until he is just completely
A butt.
invisible.
Yeah.
He just shuts your cats from one end to the other.
So upon doing that, Goat immediately moves out of the wall, and you hear his barking, and Ari hears it, and Sky hears it, and Hocus, you see it and you hear it because you can see his shape. Even though you're having trouble perceiving through all of the echoes, you can see that his shape is there, and you hear it outside, and it's moving towards what you know is the street. So
If we're going to go, we need to go now.
Right. Yeah, there are things. We gotta move fast. Come on, guys.
okay, so Goat begins to lead you through Silkshore in a way that is at first confusing, because what does it look like, Louise, when Goat is tracking something?
But much like a bloodhound, even though he is a pug, he's got his nose directly on the ground, and he is just rushing forwards and just ignoring things that are in his way because he's a goat. He doesn't really need to, so he's just going charging straight through the most direct line.
Okay, so Goat does exactly that. And so if you look at the map, when you're in Silkshore, we'll take you back to Anyant Park, right? Which is where you guys actually made your entry into Silkshore. So you were probably either over here or over here on the map. In your for the pleasure den, the drug den hideout that you guys had all, you had taken advantage of your Rook network. Goat moves you through the artist district that you guys were in, where the Scarlet Rose was, and takes you back to Anyant Park. And as Goat moves through, you can see that the Imperial garrison or the Imperial checkpoint is still on the bridge between there and the Radiant Fields. But Goat's not going in that general direction. He's actually pointing more towards the north in a direction leading this way. But he goes as far as he can till he gets to the water, and he realizes that he can't move across the water for some reason, even in his spectral form, water is a barrier for him. And so he is whining and crying a little bit, right? And then he's barking, but he's barking back at you. And so as you kind of followed him through, and at every point, he has just moved through walls, moved through buildings, and you've been, keeping along with him, but now you finally caught up to him. And he can pass no further. But he appears to be looking in that general direction that I just highlighted on the map, which is more towards the eastern side of the city.
Over that way.
All right.
Can we get the gondolier over here? Are these cliffs on the sides of Unknown Park?
They look to be cliffs according to the map. That's my assumption. I'm assuming that you could probably wave down a gondolier, especially since there's probably a lot of traffic going between Silkshore and potentially Barcleft, from Tangletown, which is right here, or even Char Hollow, which is right here, right? So, I mean, there's probably plenty of traffic going on. It's even though martial law is still happening, there's commerce still has to move through the city. Things have to still get around, and that's going to be one of the easiest ways for supplies to get moved in an emergency situation is the canals.
Right, we need to flag down a gondolier.
How do you go about doing that?
All right.
I think I say we blow up a lightning tower. No,
That'll never work.
no.
Well, and if I look around, is there anybody who looks like they have just docked up or anything like that?
So as Hocus kind of pointed out, there's a lot of traffic that's going back and forth, but the edge of Onyang Park, there really isn't like a
Jetty.
Yeah, there's not a dock of any kind. There's not a little place to hail and pick up a gondolier, but there is a lot of traffic going on. So it's more than likely possible that you could hail one down and have them send somebody, or hail that one down and have them come pick you up, where you can actually get a ride. I mean, where you could get down to them. And I would assume that it would probably be someplace back towards over there that you would finally pick them up and be able to move that way. It really is a matter of, I guess, moving Ghost at this point, or sorry, Goat at this point. Why do we keep saying Ghost?
Because he's a ghost dog.
Yeah, probably.
There's a part of me that really wants Ari to kind of just dive into the water and then board because she needs someone to help her get out of the water. Like, oh no, I'm drowning. Oh goodness, somebody save me.
That would probably be the last time we ever see her.
I'm sure some barge would pick me up of
Or
sorts.
something,
Well, remember that the gondoliers are responsible for keeping the spirits down from, on the water if there's ever a problem on the water. But clearly for Ghost, he is not able to cross the water.
Okay. Well, then I will try to talk him into it and say, we can't cross the water. Come with me. We'll find a way.
Okay. And Louise, how would he respond in this circumstance? Would he? I mean, because he's panicked, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a scent on something. How would he be receptive to anybody but you at this point?
It depends. They'd have to try, and rather than just say it, they'd have to try and almost attune to his specific ghost aura, the way that Sling would, and try to speak to him in a way that's like, this is the only way that's going to help you get there.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like you need to attune to Goat specifically.
Okay.
I could give that a shot if you want. I know you're used to attuning to just about everything around you. I've only ever really attuned to one thing. I might have a chance. With your help, that is.
Okay. Is that what you're planning to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it. Position? Risky?
I'm gonna say
Controlled.
I'm gonna say it's still pretty controlled because there's not a lot going on. So
Okay. And standard effect, probably.
you're attuning specifically to goats.
Goats.
God, I'm doing that again. You're attuning specifically to goat, so I think that the effect is actually limited.
Okay. Bonus
And
dice.
Is Hocus
Love.
assisting? No, not love, not this time. Is Hocus assisting?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So-
could assist.
So only, well, what is the rule again? I think it's only one person can assist. Let me double check that. So Hocus, take 2 stress at least, or take 2 stress for the assist. Let me double check.
There could be a bonus dice inbound for Sky's motive for doing so, because Sky and Sling haven't really been the best of pals. So him like actively wanting to help is like, ooh, yay.
Feeling on here.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Hocus, take 1 stress for that. And yeah, the rule says only one person may assist a roll. However, I do like the idea that Sky is taking a risk here, so we'll give that as an additional die versus love.
Yay.
Because we're not the Beatles.
I'm a
Okay, so
bold
that's-
eagle puller.
So that's 2 additional die for you. It's 2 assistants.
Okay. All right.
And
Roll high.
Roll it. Let's
Roll it.
4.
So it is a success, but there is a consequence that will come into play. You begin to attune to him, and with Hocus's help, you begin to hear a voice in your head, but it's not a voice. It's not a bark. It's not coherent. It's
Not that one.
Wait, retune, that's not the right one.
it's almost it's strange because it's not like anything you've ever heard before. It's not necessarily coherent, but it's not also chaos. Like there is some sort of element of rawness to it. There's that raw animalistic nature that you can sort of get the impression, and of when it's coming to you, when this voice is coming to you, it's find her. That's what you're interpreting from it. It's not those words. It's more like a combination of emotional aggression and desperation and a clear picture of Sling, like of her face. And so it's just this just emotional moment of find her. And so you are listening in now to what you suspect is what goat. Swear to God, what goat is broadcasting when he's communicating.
Ooh. Well, Goat certainly wants to find her real bad. I don't know how much that helps. Does it give me any sense of where she is more so, or?
No. But again, that was not your intent of this role.
Right,
Your
that's
intent of
what
this
we're-
role was to be able to
Right.
communicate with Goat.
Right.
And I would think, just to jump in here real quick to add something else to it, is that there's probably part of the reason that this worked at all was a sense of kinship between Goat and Sling and Sky's attachment to his sister. That sense of devotion
Mm-hmm.
tying one person to another is probably
Mm-hmm.
part of the only reason why you can really relate to it as well as he can.
Right, exactly. It's not about the actual connection, it's about the emotional impact of that connection. Right. Okay.
All right.
I mean, you've got a captive audience in the dog because you can hear it. If it hears you, it should have some effect at this point.
Right. What can you
You
tell?
figure it
What
out?
happened to her? Where is she now? We're gonna help you. We're gonna help you.
Goat responds confused because he's not sure what that sound is or what that where that voice is coming from. But when you say we're going to help you find her, it's not responding to the words so much as the emotional impact of that. And so Goat turns from the water, turns from that directional point and kind of looks at you and barks at you. And when you hear the bark, it's more hopeful than you've heard him make a noise, since. And Ari, as you're kind of listening to this as well, you hear a change in tone for the way that Goat is kind of interacting. And so he's looking more towards you than he is at the water in that direction.
Something you're saying seems to be working.
I guess. We got a move to make, though. We can see boats, but can we tell that specifically there are gondoliers?
Yeah, you can see barges and you can see barges that are moving kind of, and you can also see, essentially, passenger boats. The gondoliers are responsible for the majority of that, right? Mm-hmm. They're responsible for the majority of traffic that happens on the water and, transporting people and goods in the same way that the cabbies are responsible for everybody on dry land. So it's various sizes depending upon. So yeah, you can definitely see boats that are moving that would have the capacity to carry you all.
Grin, Wrath, where can you whistle very, very loud?
Sure.
Get one of their attention. Ask them where they can pick us up. Where's the closest place?
Except it actually sounds like a whistle.
Okay. So when you
on the side, blowing raspberries at them.
So when Wrath begins to make this big, loud whistling sound, one of the boats kind of moves towards you, kind of continuing on its same path. Just kind of moving towards essentially the waterway that leads between Silkshore and Barrowcleft and the Radiant Fields. But he starts to kind of shift the boat a little bit in your direction and says, "Hello!
Hail!
What can I do for you?"
We need to get across.
"Well, go find yourself a dock. Kind of busy here." And begins to kind of continue to move on.
Where would be the best dock?
Yeah, can you point us to a dock?
Well, geez, you're on the park, back towards the Silk Shore.
Okay, cheers, mate.
We're going to
shakes his head and continues to move on.
We're going to kill him the first chance we get.
But
I want to set fire to his boat to punish him for our mistake.
He's essentially telling you guys the same thing that I told you before. On the map, if you look, you go back this general direction, there will be a dock that you'll be able to pick up an actual...
We go to the dock!
Again, the reason that you were brought here in the first place all the way this direction, though, is because of Goat. Goat was...
And now that I've talked to Goat and calmed him down, though, is he willing to backtrack with us?
I don't know. You'd have to kind of pick him up. I mean, you guys are expecting story to be fed to you. I'm waiting for you guys to actually take charge of the story and do something.
Look, do any of you have any money on you?
A couple coins.
All right, everybody, stick what you have in this pouch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this idea.
Nor do I. Look, tell Goat we're going to go find Mommy. Kind of pat your lap and say, "Come on, let's go find her."
Look, people respond to money. If we want to get across on a boat, we give them some money. We get across. We don't necessarily get to let them keep the money, but
First,
there's
How far is the drop?
The drop is probably a good 15 or 20 feet at least, maybe more.
Are there any boats that are tall enough? You know, like barges or something that are big enough that like it's not really a far drop at all.
Sure, but they're more in the center of the water. I mean,
Oh,
they're
it's got-
moving.
okay.
Right, the traffic that's going through the water. I mean, it's mostly smaller boats, but there are barges that are moving back and forth. I mean, this is one of the major throughways between essentially the docks, which are all the way up here, and Gadrick Rail Station, which is down here, right? So
first we get the dog, then we go back to the dock.
Right.
somebody pick up the damn dog and just take it back to the docks.
I'm just gonna pick up the dog.
All right, you grab the dog, you
Go.
carry him back. You're able to secure passage, but where are you going? There's a gondolier right there. He's a little hesitant when he sees Goat, because Goat is not necessarily corporeal, but not necessarily completely invisible either. And being a gondolier, he has some experience with the ghost field.
we'll just hold Goat out at the front and treat him like a compass, you know, if he starts
That's actually not far from what I was going to say.
if he
Okay.
starts responding in a certain direction, we hold him in the direction to see which one he responds best to.
All right.
It's fine.
And if this
So-
guy's nervous, I'll give him a damn coin.
Can I say that I'm still wearing the military garb that I was wearing before, as is Ari probably.
I don't know if you're still wearing it, but you can say that you put it back on before you left.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
I
that would
got
be
the
really
agreement
gross.
the night
It's-
before, so I'm
gotta
probably
wash.
back in my normal attire.
Hocus, as you all board the boat, the gondolier's boat, looking to kind of figure out the circumstance of how you're going to get where you're going, the cord that's in your peripheral vision, as you're beginning to really kind of lose that attunement because you're still kind of getting everything, the cord begins to stop oscillating. It's no longer vibrating. There's no longer a frequency. It's just becoming taunt again. And it's very squarely fixed in an easterly direction. Kind of like that.
I think wherever she is, she just stopped moving.
Oh, we
We need to head towards Night Market if we can get there, please.
Gondolier shakes his head, says, "You keep that thing away from me," indicating Goat, and begins to slowly move towards Night Market. Now, as you guys are making your way along the canals, first the bigger river that runs through the majority of Dulskvol, onto the smaller inlets around. Sorry, hold on just a second, as I screw up names left and right. Through around Char Hollow and Coleridge, moving towards Night Market, essentially through this conduit here. You're getting more of a sense of what's going on in the city. Things have started to settle a little bit, but martial law is still going on. The waterways are being more watched, and there are boats, gondolier boats, specifically with Imperial soldiers that are being posted at inlets between every major district, and they're just kind of paying attention. They're not stopping anybody that you can tell, but they're just kind of paying attention to the traffic as to what's going on. And so as you begin to make your way here between Coleridge and Charter Hall, Goat really begins to start barking again. And when he's pointing and he's starting to just kind of get aggressive, it's clear that he's pointing towards Night Market.
Definitely Night Market then.
Yeah, we gotta follow. Go.
Okay, so the gondolier drops you off pretty close to this bridge here, and one of the things that you notice as you're coming up onto this bridge is that there is a lot of fire damage There is a severe amount of fire damage, and there's a bunch of debris still kind of littered on it as they're trying to, clean it up and, begin to replace some of the bricks. Traffic is not being allowed under it, so that he drops you off on that, essentially the little dock that's connected to that bridge on the night market side. And he looks at Goat as he watches you all just kind of exit the gondolier up the small stairway from the dock up into night market. And he says, "There's something wrong with that animal." And he begins to kind of push off and begins to move back into the flow of traffic. Go ahead, Grin.
As he pushes off, I actually, in a stage whisper, say, "It didn't see us. It didn't see this duck." And I hold up a coin of one of my coins.
Okay.
And if I have to command him, fine. If I have to bribe him, fine. I'm telling him he did not see us.
Okay, so one of the things about coins is that essentially they're a vague value of of essentially actual
Currency.
like cash, currency of some kind. So when you pass him something, you're essentially passing him a small bag of silver or a small bag of the the coin of Dosquil, or the actual physical coin of Dosquil.
30 pieces.
And so you pass it off, huh?
30 pieces or so.
It's a fair bit more than 30 pieces, actually, but yes, that's essentially. And so you pass it off to him, and he looks at you, and he pockets it in his longshoreman's coat, and he kind of looks at you, and he nods.
Okay.
And he begins to kind of move off. And you find yourself at the bridge connecting Charter Hall and Night Market, and you see that there is a fair bit of a little garrison that's established on the bridge in respect to cleanup. There are stonemasons, there are other workers there, and there are soldiers on both sides of the bridge that you can see.
We're on the night market side or the Six Tower side?
You're on the night market side,
okay.
And the other side would be Charter Hall in this particular case.
Right. Goat, lead the way. We gotta find her. We're gonna do it.
Goat has been trying to scramble out of your arms since you stepped onto the dock and walking up the stairs. And finally, you can't hold him anymore. As you say that, he bursts out of your arms and immediately takes to the ground and starts sniffing and begins to kind of make his way in a general direction towards the other side, the eastern side of Night Market. You pass by very close, but not next to the smoldering ash ruins of Donovan's, and you can see that there's a fair bit of activity there in respect to cleanup, and it appears to be being directed by somebody who is wearing a little symbol that represents the hive on their lapel, and it's a little honeybee, just kind of on their lapel, and otherwise they're directing a bunch of people. They don't take notice of you as you move past them. Ghost darts through a couple of buildings, and you're able to kind of slowly follow him through his kind of weird ways, taking you through some of the outer buildings, past the Vale, through the actual proper market that is what makes up the center of Night Market and the park there. Stalls of goods, and Ghost just continues to pass through. Occasionally, certain people take notice of him, and Hocus, you recognize them as whispers, just kind of glancing at the dog as he passes by, but otherwise don't really make much note of it. Quick question, Hocus, are you wearing your garb?
What is that?
Moving through the crowd, 2 Imperial soldiers, a Scovelander in big outfit, and a whisper. Okay. As you continue to follow Goat through Night Market, making your way, you come to the eastern side of Night Market, towards the lightning barrier, very close to where the railway passes out, in and out, heading towards Tykerosi and other parts on that side of Arcosa, yeah. And you're on essentially the canal side between the lightning barrier and Night Market. And at that moment, Hocus, you are beginning to have a feeling of dread. Because as you begin to make your way along this path, as you are all following and just kind of paying attention, things starting to die down a little bit, the sense of dread begins to grow. And Sky, you begin to recognize that there's something familiar about where you are. And Ari and Wrath, there's something that you're picking up on as well. But for Sky and for Hocus, there's varying levels of a recognition and dread kind of passing through as you turn a corner, this corner right here, essentially moving towards, and you realize, Hocus, that this is where the spirit well is.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting there in front of you near the spirit well is Sling. Sling, what are you doing?
Do I see them?
I don't know. Do you see them?
I don't know. Do I?
That's entirely up to you because they are approaching. I'm curious as to what Sling is actually doing, sitting there by the spirit well.
Are you looking at us or looking?
Sling is facing the well, and she'll just be talking very quietly under her breath.
What the?
Ari's going to kind of slowly walk up to her very carefully. It's unlike Sling to just be so zoned into a well that she hasn't noticed a group of people, including her own beloved pug goat, being nearby. So
that's the point. Would Goat run directly to me?
He would be cautious because he's still smelling on the ground. He's not actually taken notice that you're there yet. He's following the trail. So this also strikes Sky and Hocus as odd.
Hey, buddy. How have you been? And she goes to like lightly pat her on the back.
I'll turn around to face them, and do I recognize any of them?
I would assume that you do, because this is your crew.
How many fingers am I holding up, Sling?
Sling?
Yes, that is your name.
Oh, because it's kind of.
You were there. You were. Ooh. There. The tower. The barrier. You were there.
Sling, where have you been?
You were there. You were
Grin
there
is
before.
Grin is like leaning back towards Hocus.
Wrath is.
Hocus. Hocus, what's going on? Is she possessed like Samandra and Mercy and everyone else? What's going on?
You
Hocus
killed me.
Hocus.
Hocus is sort of over by the wall where Duskfall's Hope was painted, and he's sort of leaning on the wall and just holding his face, his mask, trying to figure out whether he should lift it up or just puke through it. He's not doing well.
Where are my parents? Where are they?
We'll take you to them, right, guys? And she starts trying to help Sling up.
Ari, back away.
Hocus he just figured out what's going on, and he throws up all over the place.
So as Ari is trying to lift Sling up a little bit, and Grin is telling her, or Wrath is telling her to back off, and Hocus is puking, it's finally at that moment that Goat is just kind of sniffing around, kind of steps up to her, kind of sniffs her a little bit, kind of extends its tongue, licks her just for a second on the arm, and kind of steps back and starts whining a little bit. And he's not, it's clear he doesn't know what's going on. And Sky, what you're getting, what you're hearing, and Ari, what you're hearing, and Hocus, what you're seeing and hearing is just an emotional outpouring of confusion around being reunited with Sling and still unsure. So there's lots of confusion that's going on in that emotional voice that in Goat's head.
Yes, meow, exactly.
Meow.
It's not what goat sounds like.
I don't know. Some cats sound like dogs.
I want my parents.
Who are you?
You should know you're the one that killed me.
Oh no.
Aha! I think Wrath just caught up.
Wrath vomits.
See?
Yeah. And is stumbling away. Literally just.
Ari still hasn't pegged. She's very new to this like ghost spirits thing.
Ari, back away.
Is Sling standing or sitting or kneeling by the well?
She's sitting.
All right.
Yeah.
Sky's gonna kind of approach and get down on one knee and be like, "I'm very sorry about what happened. I think it wasn't meant to be like that. We can help."
You're sorry? You're sorry?
Oh no.
I'm dead. I'll never... You killed me. You killed us. Why?
Hocus's hand is tightening around that lightning hook.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh boy.
Why?
It was an accident. It wasn't supposed to. If we could take it back, we would take it back. It was an accident.
But you can't. Not now. Not ever. But you can help me now. I just want to see my parents again. Just one last time. I don't want this. I didn't ask for this. You killed me. You can help me.
Sure.
Please.
We'll help you. But if you want us to help you, you can't stay in our friend there.
You have give us Sling back. Give us the girl that you're.
I can't leave. Yet.
We'll help you. We will help you. You give us Sling back.
If we are going to help her, this is the best way to do it.
Okay.
Has to remain where she. What is your name, child?
My name. I think it was Esther.
Where did you live? Where would your parents be?
I don't remember.
Don't try to remember. Just feel
It's
it. Point.
hard. My memories, my family is different. I have memories of a place I've never been, people I've never seen.
Easy, breathe. Breathe. Don't try to think of where it is. Just feel it. Point. The first direction that comes to you.
I think I need more time.
Very likely.
Guys, we need to move. We can't hang out by the well. We can't hang out by the well. We need to. Where can we go?
Strangely, the well is quiet for Hocus.
I'm not sure I would say strangely. I would say thankfully. Because if it weren't, Hocus would be fucking gone. It would be, all right, that's it for 6 and 20 for me. Bye, everybody. Boom, gone.
Though I think that Tit and Jottle are Tittle and Jot are.
Tit and Jottle.
I like
It's just in my titties. No, that's not their names.
I would think that Tittle and Jot are definitely trying to talk to you in the background somewhere.
Oh. Damn shame that Hocus is a little bit hyper-focused at the moment. And just like, but if they continue trying, they will eventually get through to him.
It's a mild chatter of trying to get your attention. It's a hey Hocus, hey Hocus, hey Hocus. But it's
Look
not
like
something
kids.
overwhelming you right now.
So let me get this straight. Out of character form.
Go ahead.
Go for it. Go on.
So Sling has been possessed by the dead spirit of a child that got caught in the crosshairs of our terrible scheme. And now we're going to try and help this dead spirit child find their possibly dead parents so that we can have Sling back.
While the ghost of the child is still trying to sort out which memories are his and which ones are Sling's, which is why he can't tell where his home is.
Okay, so Ari is going to reach out her hand like you would a little kid, to okay, we need to go now, and she does the gentle come on.
But where?
Pretty soon it's going to turn into mom voice. All right, fine, we'll get Dippin' Dots on the way. Let's go.
Do you want an ice cream? We'll get you an ice cream. Let's go, guys.
Where are we going?
We're gonna look for your parents. We're gonna find your parents. We have to go now.
I like it here.
Why do you like it here?
It's warm.
Well, there's plenty more warm spots here in this city. Let's go. Come on.
So I'm just curious. I've got a question as this is all beginning to unravel, and I love that, Alex, that you basically unraveled it again and basically went from a meta and kind of explained it a little bit, because I think chat was a little confused as to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But Hocus, the question goes to Hocus. What does Hocus think? I mean, you knew immediately what was going on from the moment that she started speaking. What does Hocus think is going on? Why do you think that why does Hocus think that Esther took Sling's body to the well? I'm just curious, because I'm trying to understand where Hocus's perspective is right now.
Hocus's idea of how this all came to be is that in the moment of the tower's collapse and all of those apprentices showing up, much to our horror, because we're fine with killing adults. No problem.
I don't know. You guys seemed really okay with killing kids too at that point when they showed up.
I would like to mention that I was perfectly fine with killing the children.
Somebody just clip that audio.
Clip.
I am fine with killing children. Hocus is not okay with killing children. Let's make that clear.
I'm glad you were distinct about that.
Right. So I think that probably what's happening is that very trailing end of the effect of lure, when the kid basically was forced to discorporate, like almost instantaneously, as her body was destroyed. I'm going to presume that Esther is female. That this lost child immediately locked onto the closest lost child, like kids huddling together in the darkness, and followed outside the ghost field with us as we went. But since we were on the cart on our way out, couldn't quite keep up. But effectively a tether was established. And when we all headed back in, but we couldn't find Sling, it was that secondary tether, something familiar that Sling picked up on that was like, wait a minute. I know that feeling. What is that? And went off to investigate, which is why she wasn't there, and Ghost was like on the dock. And then we all come back in the process of realizing, getting to where she was and finding, oh, that's what that is. Oh. Now the kid and Sling have merged effectively in the kid's desperate clinginess of, oh God, please protect me. This is the only thing I can think of to do, because it's familiar to be clinging with another child. And so the mix of memories back and forth, there was some part of Sling that remembered how beautiful this spirit well was. And so the part of the child, I mean, Esther's part was like, wait, that, feeling that sense, that memory of what a spirit well feels like, was like, I want that. That feels good. I want that. And so this fight between Sling and Esther is what's causing the vibration in the tether to Goat, and why it's causing him to get more and more stressed out, and subsequently why he doesn't understand who this is. It's her, but it's not. And so upon arriving at the spirit well, Esther's like, oh yeah, this is nice. And she's slightly feeding off the well. So it's a comfortable place. Now she's got a nice warm blanket wrapped around her. She's sort of alive again. And she's having a little sip, and trying to sort out which of this is me and which of this isn't. Because some part of her that has access to Sling is aware of the fact that this person was one of the people that was involved in my death. They know that they were involved in my death. Oh, so were they. Oh. But still a child, and hopefully not a bitter one.
Well, I'm going to use command, like a mother tone.
See? Told you that was coming.
You're going to use
this
a motherly
kid.
tone. Mm-hmm.
A motherly tone where we need to go. We need to get out of here now. So, yeah, a motherly tone of like, look, if you come with us, we know that you'll be safe and we're going to help you find your parents. But for now, you need to listen to us or you'll be in a lot of trouble.
Okay, but can I come back?
Yes, we can bring you back at another time, just not right now.
Okay, I'll come.
We could even introduce you to... And at that point, Hocus finally hears Jot and Tittle. It's like, new friends.
Yes, new friends, because everybody loves friends.
Let's just find a place to go. We'll deal with that part later.
Do you want some food? You must be hungry.
I don't know how to eat.
Well, we'll teach you. Shall we go, guys?
Okay, so you're now in familiar ground in a lot of ways. Night Market was where your original headquarters was. Where do you go from here? Especially given
what we know, straight to hell.
I was going to jump into the
the new
canal.
circumstance.
That's a good question.
We go to the Devil's Tooth.
Yeah.
We go back to the Devil's Tooth. I have a room.
But you're no longer Grin.
I will have to reveal myself to Mistress Kemba. I don't think we have a choice right now.
Well, you do also have an opportunity to go to the Vale, which is considered neutral ground all around.
Oh, okay. That's a
Point. That's a point.
yeah.
Whether
Okay.
it's a good one or not.
That would be interesting. Go
Thank you.
there.
Thank you, Tren. I'm curious, real quick, before we move on from something, because it just occurred to me that this is very out of, or not part of the character that I expected before. But what was Ari doing being motherly? Does she have an affection for children? Does she have a motherly side?
She has like a tendency towards lost souls because she was always looked after whenever she felt lost. And if it wasn't for other people looking after her, really, she would have not learned how to look after herself.
Okay.
And it's also
That and right now.
probably not the first time someone came to her with a mommy fetish. Wow! Just saying.
Exactly. I have a fondness for broken things. So
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Ken, you ruined it. That was a really awesome explanation. Thank
It's
you.
what I do.
but
Okay.
Otherwise, kids normally, like, if that kid had tried to go into her body, or if anybody were to hand her a baby and it would start crying, she'd just start crying back at the baby. Yeah, she's not motherly. She knows that this needs to be done, and she'll play the role that needs to be.
To help with the lost one, right? The lost soul, essentially. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The difference
All right.
between being mommy and being maternal, I think.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
All right. So, are you all going back to the Vale now, or are you going to the Devil's Tooth? What's your choice here? I mean, because Grin is dead essentially. Wrath is the new thing, and you would have to reveal yourself. And on some level, you would have to reveal you're going to have to reveal yourself to some of the Skullwinders, anyways, right? I can't hear you.
I've just realised why that's a terrible idea, because Mercy frequents the Devil's Tooth. So if I reveal myself to Mistress Kemba, she will pass it along. So we're going to go to the Vale.
All right, we're gonna cut to the Vale. Just the pathway walking back through the night market again towards the Vale. Very much the same scene. City's under martial law, but commerce seems to be going as much as normal. Night market is one of the farthest points from where the breach was, so it wasn't affected in the same way. However, the destruction of Donovan's and the circumstances on the burning between the bridge between Night Market and Charter Hall, there's obvious a more heavy blue coat and Imperial presence in those areas, given the circumstances of everything else that happened. But you guys are able to make it to the Vale, otherwise without incident, and you find yourself essentially in you arranged for a private room in the back, and there you are. What are you doing now?
So what do we do with this creepy thing?
Hocus, is there a reason you haven't just hooked it yet?
We're not hooking. No. We owe this kid. This.
It's already
This,
dead.
in a sense, yes. In another, no. And when we set out to do what we did, we knew that there would be deaths involved. We knew that. We accepted that. We had not planned. If I had known that these apprentices were going to show up, I would have recommended the next tower up, or on a different day, or a different time on this day. There was no reason for this to have. This was not a part of the plan. This was an accident. I mean, I don't. We can't change it. We can't undo it. It is what it is. But that does not mean that we cannot try to.
You know what the plan was, Hocus.
I know what the plan was.
It wasn't. It didn't matter that there were apprentices there or not. We thought this whole city was gonna burn. Children and all. We take responsibility one way or another.
And what are the chances that these parents are even still alive?
Can I hear any of this? Or if I just sort of sat here like,
I mean, that's a really good question. What do you do with? I mean, because Sling is a 17-year-old girl, but she has a child trapped in her essentially. What can Louisa? What can you tell us about Esther in respect to her age and her mannerism? I mean, has she hit puberty yet? Is she in that awkward stage between? Is she somebody who still has not developed yet, and so she still has that childlike innocence? I mean, what's the mannerisms?
She's probably about 10, maybe 9 going on to 10. She's very, very young. She got into this whole apprenticeship thing because she needed to for her family. It was the only way that they were going to survive any longer. And so that's the reason that she did it. Her and her older brother, who is unfortunately, as of this stage, dead. This was all that she had, and this apprenticeship, she was so excited for a new chance, for a new start, to find some light in a world that had become so dark for her and her family. And she's always been hopeful that she'll find that light and that things will get better, and that no matter how bad things are now, the next stage will always be clearer. And that's the one thing that kept her going through all the dark and all the hard times, that childlike innocence and hopefulness that things won't always be this way. And now she's dead, so
Well, you had to keep moving forward like a shark or a trank gun. It's fine. It's fine.
Shot and Tittle can probably relate to a lot of that.
All right, so
more than anything,
That doesn't answer the question of can she hear us?
No.
Well,
So, but
more than anything, she wants to, at least for one last time, tell her parents that she loved them.
okay. So, but with all of that, no. That's
heartstrings are like.
I was laughing at Joff. Never mind.
By the way, I just want to say, between Joff and Trendane, the two of you, you guys are sitting on my screen as Ari and Sky were interacting, and Joff was doing a little bit of wrath interacting with Esther. The two of you in the center of my screen, the expressions that both of you had. Joff was just dying. Hocus was just like, I fucking knew it. So it was great to watch. And then to watch the other two interact with her was just, it was really entertaining to watch. But so going back to the question of would she be there, it's really about, if she's acting this way, if she's acting like this young child, how would you handle that situation? Would you keep her in the same room? Would you get her fed into bed, kind of a thing? Or what would you do?
Yeah, could we get her, get a room and just let her take a nap or something?
I can just imagine we're having this whole conversation and Ari's got the whole hands over the ears thing. So what are we doing with this thing?
Do possessed people need sleep? That's a question I never thought I'd ask myself. But if it's a ghost, mainly, do they need to sleep?
Well, that's a question that we can answer here. I mean,
I don't like the idea of
rest at some point, right?
Depends on the body.
It's a very young body, so the body can deal with a lot more than the average.
Right. It's also a young soul, so it would be vibrant with energy, right?
Yeah. I feel like Esther's not tired enough for a nap.
And
It's
also,
been a
do we
good
really want to
while
put
since
a
what happened,
ghost
though.
out of watch now that we have found it? Kids' tendencies to wander off, especially when they're looking for their parents.
Especially when they're with a group of people that killed her.
I think we should just kill Sling and the ghost along.
Okay, so Ari is going to ask Esther, do you know any songs, any tunes? Remember anything?
Well, some, I think.
Hum them to yourself a moment.
It started out sounding so endearing, and then it was like, just go fuck off. And while the grown-ups talk.
Exactly. So, what are we doing with this thing? How do we know that the parents are still alive?
Is that the Imperial March? Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a great one to sing, too.
I bring around the rosies kind
Yeah.
of thing.
You just get some more energy. She's like,
So yeah, that's what we're doing so that she doesn't hear what our conversation is. I've got her to hum, and I got my hands over her ears. I never thought I'd be doing this to a fully grown woman. Hum to yourself.
Yeah, you've been around drunk people enough. So Hocus, I ask again. You know what we were going into. Really worth it to do anything for her? He's one ghost. There were a lot more out there.
This is true. It is one ghost among probably millions. And it is also true that that was our plan all along. However, we are no longer on the path of that plan. And what we have now is effectively a stowaway. And if you want me to be extremely frank in my description of the current situation, you saw what happened the last time I tried to hook a portion of a spirit within a body. There is no guarantee that I would not kill Sling in the process, and that is not a part of the plan.
It was not. It was also not part of the plan to play daycare.
But here is the situation. This is the situation we're in. The only way we are going to get Esther out of Sling, the only chance we have, short of me using this and risking it again, is to help her do what she's trying to do. I see no other path.
Know any contacts then? Any contacts where we can spread the word of Esther is looking for her parents? Do we put lost and found signs up?
I would
have no
not
idea
spread
what's
that
up.
message, no. Do not spread the message of Esther Esther, the Sparkrite apprentice who died in this explosion of the tower, is looking for her parents. This is not.
Well, we just
Either.
omit the death.
But then her parents presume that she is alive and come to find us. And when they find out what's actually going on, and Esther says, "Oh, these are the people who killed me."
Well, I have no bright ideas. This wasn't exactly the fun I was looking for.
No, it's not exactly the carnival I was expecting to be at yet either.
She's a Sparkrite's apprentice, right? So.
Are you asking me? Or are you asking her?
I'm just kind of saying that out loud. So she must have had some training. Red Sashes have a school where they train the Sparkrites. If there's any safe, isn't that the place?
No, it's Charter Hall University
Sorry,
that trains.
Charter
them.
Hall.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm
gonna
just
say,
You're right. It's not the Red Sashes. They just have the sword school.
I was gonna say we're not getting into Crow's Foot to talk to them anyway, so it's
Yeah,
just
no.
as well that it's not.
There's
And I don't know how many of them are left alive. So
There's a school in Charter Hall where Sparkrites train.
yes, that is.
That seems like a only real safe bet I can think of where we might find some record. Safer than going straight to the Lightning Barrier. Back to that mess.
I believe, from what she said, I believe her family's in Barrowcleft.
Well,
Or
well, I suppose if we just go there, she might be able to point it out. We get closer. A risky thing, though. Her parents might not still live, too. In fact, she said as much, that they probably perished along with her.
Is it possible she was at the well looking for her parents?
I don't know. But even then, if her parents are in the well, we're not about to find them there.
What do we do if we can't find her parents?
And it's plan B. And we have to hope that Sling lives.
Because otherwise we're walking along with, quite literally, a tattletale who has access to all of our secrets.
Yeah.
She's not.
Ari's going to get up and just like start walking out towards where we have to go. What was it called?
Barrow Cleft.
Barrow Cleft. She's just going to start going.
Grin looks at Sky and Hocus and gets up and follows Ari.
She's in a mood. Let's go.
All right,
So
Esther.
what does that mean that you... Sorry.
I was going to say, all right, Esther. Esther, you can stop humming.
Hocus.
Hold on. I'm gonna grab her hand.
Hocus.
Mm.
As she's humming this, as you open the door and she begins humming this seems a little off to you because it's a tune that hasn't been heard in hundreds of years. And at that, we're going to end it.
Johnny!
I fucking quit.
Well, I was looking for the right cliffhanger hook to leave it off of, and that seemed like the perfect opportunity. So,
All right.
so let's go around the table real quickly and do XP. Who wants to go first?
I'll go, I suppose.
I think it's great that you want to go because that's perfect.
You're a little
Get
out of
some
practice, so
XP
yeah.
in there
Yeah,
for Esther.
Yeah, Esther's at character sheet. Let me just open that up.
Spark right.
Okay, so I haven't rolled a desperate action. Address a challenge of tracking or violence. Don't think I've done that. I've
Found
tracked
your way to
my
the well.
parents.
You found your way to the well.
Does
You
goat
found your way to the
count?
well.
Just can I count goat as me?
And actually, goat does count because goat is an extension of the character. So let's go ahead and call
Sweet.
it that.
Okay. Express my beliefs, drives, heritage, or background.
You express multiple backgrounds.
many
Not necessarily
heritages.
yours, but people.
Well, I think in the motivation of playing Esther, the character possessing or the spirit possessing Sling, I think that you did phenomenally in building the backstory and the background and then the motivations, especially when you talked about the fact of actually recognizing the crew and realizing that they were responsible for your death. So I think you deserve 2 there as well.
Yes. Cool. Struggled with issues from vice or trauma. I've taken no drugs today.
Trauma, though, in a
Emotional
way.
and spiritual trauma. Definitely.
I'm going to say you deserve 1 for the fact that you're not taking any lure right now.
Yeah. I like the idea that Sling's body's having withdrawal symptoms, but there's like a 10-year-old girl inside of it. It's just like, I don't understand.
Oh, man.
What an amazing detox program.
Who wants to give the 10-year-old some lure?
Who
No.
wants to see what happens when you give drugs to kids, guys?
Remember, education is my drug.
She was just at the library, guys. That's
All
what
right, so
maybe these were clues, guys. That's where Esther's parents are. They're at the library. She's
That's
been
not a
dropping
bad idea.
hints throughout the whole show.
all right, so Sling, or that's 5. Let's go with Ari next.
No action rolls. Address a challenge
deception.
with deception or influence. Kind of influence a bit with the commanding the child in a mother-like way. Maybe
Okay.
but that's a stretch.
Okay.
Because that might actually go more into belief, drive, or heritage.
I was going to say that was where I thought that actually came up. I also, yeah, I don't think that you did anything where you addressed a challenge with deception or influence, but I think you did a couple of things with your drives, heritage, background, and beliefs. One being the motherly, which is why I asked about it, and the other being how frustrated in the situations you were in trying to get to, across the essentially the canals, and trying to essentially flag down the gondolier. So I think that's 2 there. But I don't think you struggle with your vice or trauma at all. So
No.
So it's going to be 2 this time.
Cool, but that's a level up for me.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's go with Grin next.
Wrath.
Sorry, let's go with Wrath next.
I'm gonna update his name on the screen.
Yes, I was going to say do that.
Okay. No desperate action. No. Addressed a challenge with violence and coercion. When I went drinking on the town, I was threatening several people.
Mm-hmm.
And the gondolier. I was applying coercion and a bribe to him.
Absolutely. So I think that those are 2 right there.
Beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Background-wise, we now have Grin is dead, Jinx is still a legend, and now we have Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Beliefs and drives. I think that's it, really. I think it's only 1 for that.
Okay. And I don't think you struggle with your vice or your trauma.
Trauma? Hey, we got a kid who's taken over Sling's body.
Well, so trauma in this particular case relates to the actual tangible mechanical element of trauma, which is listed next to stress. So
Okay.
You don't have any trauma right now, so you didn't struggle with any of those.
Okay. How about with my vice, the fact that I went out on a bender?
No, but that was indulging your vice, though, right? That's normal for.
Oh yeah, that's not an issue. In that case,
for Wrath.
In that case, nothing there.
Okay, so that sounds like 3.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with Hocus.
No desperate actions. Addressed a thing, doohickey with knowledge or arcane power. I would say yes, probably twice.
Mm-hmm.
Beliefs, drive, heritage, background. Yeah, probably once. I think.
Okay.
For that. And issues concerning my vice or traumas. No, not really. For a total of 3, which levels me up again and puts me 2 into the next.
Very cool. All right, and Sky for last.
All right. Address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I did that at least once with the reduction of heat, I'd say.
Okay.
And then what was my other downtime action?
Your other downtime action was acquiring an asset.
Right.
Which was your cover identity.
Right. Which I would say that's conspiracy, right?
I
didn't actually decide what it was, but I was thinking, based on the fact that we had 2 unconscious soldiers with us before, I was thinking that I would take the identity of probably the dead one from before. I have a letter, I believe, that had the Imperial Military Seal on it.
That's correct.
If I could Man, this is a narrative element that we didn't really go into, but if I could just pass off a coin to one of those guards, and say, you know, your friend is still alive, and he looks like me now, or essentially something to that effect.
I think from the acquiring the asset aspect, you would totally. I mean, that would be a part of the roll, and you rolled so well. I mean, you basically got a 6 on that. Mm-hmm. So I think that it would have happened regardless. Just you established the narrative, so it's essentially an Imperial soldier of some kind, or an Imperial, you know, like lieutenant or whatever. So we can talk about that more, you know, either next week or off stream or whatever. But yeah, so that definitely fits into the other mold or the other side of calculation or conspiracy. So.
Right. So
okay.
Belief, strives, heritage, or background. I'd say yeah for one, kind of how I approached the girl of Sling. Well, no, one for actually trying to find Sling in the first place, and then another for kind of arguing like, why don't we just get rid of her? You know, this was always the plan, that people were going to die, and some of them might be children.
Okay. All right. I can see that. I think I can see that both working.
Okay.
And then, I don't think you really struggled with your vice or your trauma.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe argue the fact that I'm still really stressed out, and I kind of had to just ignore that and move forward, because going through that experience again just isn't something I could handle.
Okay, sure, but that's an element of something that happened last week and not this week. So from a session's perspective, it doesn't necessarily fit into that. Okay, so that's 4. Let's jump to the crew quickly and figure out what you guys got for XP this week.
Great. Execute successful smuggling or acquire new clients or contraband sources. We were kind of smuggling ourselves through the city with the gondolier.
Yeah, and does a dead child count as contraband?
No, a dead child does not count as contraband. You all didn't really run into any type of opposition in getting across the city. I mean, you didn't take risks that were necessarily out of the ordinary, so you weren't really smuggling yourself, right?
Fair.
I see that look, Trend. What are you thinking?
Nothing whatsoever to do with this game.
I'm seriously concerned now because you got this inquisitive look. Okay.
A friend of mine was just saying, he just tweeted, got to enjoy some really good thunderstorms down here in Orlando. I'm very happy right now, having heard some big booms.
All right. Okay.
And great. I remember lots of good thunderstorms when I was down there. We don't really have thunderstorms here in California, as you know.
All right. That is a good point. Contend with challenges are above current station.
I can't really say that we did. I mean, what tier are the gondoliers?
Or the spark rights, for that matter.
Well, spark rights technically weren't this time around, and the gondoliers, I believe, are tier 3. But you really you weren't in any conflict with them, so.
Fair.
Keep that thing away from me.
Well, what about a ghost? What tier is a ghost child?
In this particular case, not even on the scale.
Tier 10.
Damn it. Alright, bolster crew's reputation or develop a new one? I think that in the way that we handled the Rook network, we were bolstering our reputation.
You mean through using the Rook network to reduce your heat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I could see that. I mean, you
gotta get XP somewhere.
Well, no, it's because I think that you're used to getting a lot of XP in this for the crew, and a lot didn't happen necessarily for the crew, except in the last one where I think you guys deserve 2. drives, goals, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew, right? So to me, it seems like you guys deserve 2. 1, because you went after Sling using Goat when Goat started to respond, and then how you responded to the appearance of Esther when you were expecting Sling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think that you guys deserve 2, because there was a lot going on there, especially with the conflict of Ari wanting to immediately help Sling and Hocus immediately realizing something was off, and Grin or Wrath eventually coming to the conclusion that there was something that was off, and it was bringing Sling, bringing Ari back and all of that. So I think you guys definitely deserve 2 there.
Cool.
All right, and with that, it's over to you, Speedy.
My God. God damn it, Johnny. And Louise. You guys were plotting in the background.
It's all her. It's all her. Wait, maybe it's this way. It's all her.
Yeah,
it's all Louise.
Did you miss me?
Oh, God, I
Yes.
did.
Damn it, Louise.
Still mad that we haven't played Dream Daddy yet.
Dream Daddy.
Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
All right, let's go around and you guys can do your shout outs, starting with Louise.
Hello, I'm Louise. I play Sling and Esther. I'm super happy to be back. I was proper nervous about coming into it again after so long away, but I love you guys, everybody in Blades, and I love everybody in chat. You guys make my life complete. So I'm super happy to be back. If you wanted to find me in the downtime between now and next session, you can do so here on Twitch. Wow, amazing. At AccidentalLegend, where I stream the streams and have all the funs. Or also on Twitter at No More, No Less. That's more, spelled MOORE. And it's a great time all the time. Moving it on over.
I fully expected you to go, that's more as in,
Somebody's
I
got
was
to do the
about to
movements.
reach. I was like, wait a minute. That's not what that
That's
is.
not more as in, but more as in rivers.
That would be
Joff.
you next, Joff.
Yeah. Hi.
Same.
God damn it, Lulu. Hi, my name is Joff, and I play Grin, and Grin is fucked up. Well, actually, no, Grin is dead. I now play Wrath. Expect Wrath to have some personality issues throughout the remainder of Season 2. God
think
damn
he'll be
it.
alone.
Yeah, like I say, my name's Joff. You can find me occasionally here on Twitch, for the majority, rambling over on Twitter. Going by the username Owlbare. That's bear, as in, not as in. MadameGandalf, please save me.
We cannot do that anymore.
We can and we will.
And we will always. My name is MadameGandalf. You can find me everywhere as MadameGandalf. And yeah, I'm mostly a full-time streamer here on Twitch. I play Ari. And I'm going to be keeping myself up for 24 hours the day after tomorrow. So if you've ever wondered what MadameGandalf is like, you have plenty of time during that time to find out. All right. And she's nothing really like Ari. I don't think I'm that much of a sexual deviant.
But you're a good cook.
But I am a good cook.
You have a pretty worn out whip, though.
It's true. This whip really has seen better days.
And worse days.
And you do hate kids.
I am afraid of kids. But yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. It's a fair statement.
I'm still at that age and point of my life where I'm just like, and yeah, make those noises as well.
Yes.
And on that note of making those kinds of noises, Trendane, how are you doing?
Well, so I'm Tren. What I didn't tell you guys at the top of the show was that I got notified like maybe 10 minutes before we went live, that Beyond Skyrim Bruma, which I did a lot of voice work in, is now available for the Xbox One.
What's Skyrim?
It's a thing. It's a game that who's that group of people that play?
Oh, it's like an
Cool
indie
people.
game.
Cool people that are awesome that you want to get to know and spend more time around. Those people play it, which is why it doesn't surprise me that you've never heard of it. So, yeah, that. And so, a little crazy today with the thing. And you know the scene where they're talking, it's in Star Trek Voyager, where they're talking about they've got the time ship that's changing the history on a whole bunch of other things, and they start showing all the different paths that one particular object could interact with other things, and it just starts shattering and has. This is how my brain usually functions when I'm doing shows like this. I'm like, all right, how many possible threads are there and where do they go? And so I'm just, constantly working through them. And so today was one of those situations where, like a vibrating ghost tether, everything's kind of like, oh, I can't tell. And it just locked it. I was like, shit. And no. Oh, but at the same time, yes. And seeing now where, from a Hocus perspective, the various possible roads. Oh dear. This is going to be, if it goes the way I'm thinking / afraid that it might go, this could be very, very, very fucked up and cool. And both. I mean, from a storytelling perspective, it would be cool. From every other perspective, fucked up. Johnny.
So I'm going to start with any and all things that happened and are going to happen are Louise's fault. I had nothing to do with this. She came up with it. I am just facilitating
that's
her.
Unfair. Some things are your fault. And a lot of things are my fault.
Some things, I will say, the beginnings of some things are Johnny's fault.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Think all you want.
I think the initial idea was a collaboration on both our parts.
That's not true.
If you look back in the Discord, good sir.
The initial idea.
He has receipts.
I have receipts. I have a contract. I signed it. We share equal blame.
This idea comes from you, Louise. It is so beautiful where we're going with this and how screwed up it's gonna be. It's gonna be amazing. I'm just gonna tell you right now that
spoilers.
It's really her. It's all her fault.
It's to her credit, not her fault.
Is it next Thursday yet?
I'm going to be...
love getting the messages from Trendane and from Louise. What's going on? What are we doing here? What are we going to do with this? How are we going to do with this? And the rest of you are going to be going, is it Thursday yet? And they're going to be messaging me for the rest of the time between. It's bad. But
I'm going to be humming that tune, and you're going to get it in your head. You'll be like, oh, what is it? What is it? Ooh, magic.
Oh. Oh,
that's what the tune is. It's like,
I'm just going to listen to Caravan Swing until I drown it out. So you just go ahead. Caravan Palace. Excuse me. Caravan Palace.
I choice. I'm going to take this opportunity and let you guys all know that so the third crew got a little bit delayed, but they will be making their premiere on September 12th. It'll be a Tuesday. They will be doing 5 episodes, so expect them to be joining you guys very shortly. Combination of scheduling delays and a bunch of real life stuff. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. Second thing I'm going to say is everything that Louise did was amazing tonight, and everything else that you guys did in leading up to it and beyond was absolutely wonderful. I've had a lot of fun tonight. There was a lot of of setup for everything that's going to possibly happen moving forward. You guys understood a lot, and the fact that Joff, you killed off Grin, that was unexpected to me.
Yeah.
That was like,
I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming till it freaking happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You were just... Grin was just drunk and was just like, I'm dead.
Okay.
now you've got to go redo all the art.
When I finish,
Shave his head.
I become a new man.
I
You just
basically
made work for yourself.
Let me explain my thought process. Grin doesn't like who he's become. He's done with that. I don't know who he's going to be next. Think of it like a Time Lord regeneration. He is complete. He's no idea who he is. The whole thing with Esther has completely messed him up, and me. God damn it, Luke.
Stirred him up.
Nice.
Also, if you don't like the person you were, Wrath is not a good choice of new name.
It's
No, I see Smirk would have worked better.
It's a couple of name, Wrath.
There's an interesting possibility here, though, for story that builds back into the Jinx Godofur legend. How he broke from the ghost contract. How he walked away from that. Is there consequences? Is it almost like there are things that are left over because of everything he did? Is this like a form of PTSD, but almost like a multiple personality kind of a thing?
Yeah, maybe his psyche is fractured. Like he's utterly broken.
Maybe
Good.
he didn't
Another
just
one.
have to kill the person who he made the ghost contract with. Maybe he had to kill himself in one way.
It seemed
take
like
on
a really.
a new identity of Grin.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting... Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
Anyways,
Something for you to think about. But yeah, so anyways, so the new crew coming. Great show tonight, guys. Otherwise, you can find me over on the Video Store Cowboy channel. I occasionally stream. The new crew will be on that channel. And yeah, that's about it.
yeah, absolutely. Everyone, you guys, thank you all for coming out here today. I want to give a shout out to everyone who did stuff today. So thank you for the follows: Dronzer1986, Cosmo978, Alaskan Bow, Meilu, Zen Weong, Pit Brew, Imagine That, Elmer DF, Marwa Ben, Anna Velasquez, Evil Linky Bendy, Aticha, Kid Cash Doc, The Awestruck, Don Jodar, Sight Eggs, DTS Appears, Smell Eggs, Microprocessor Eggs. There are a lot of eggs following today, guys. Mantros, Alicia, Lunar Fox Rising, Faramir of Gondor, Bis Vietnam, Raffle Stomper 1993, Megalomaniac 101, Bailey and Island, Shark Attack, Henry Hart, Drake YT Arts, Dante, Tony, Steel Hawk, Am Hostler, Frosty Mug, XM, Super Plumbeer, is a statistic. Okay, that's it. That was very
Hey, man, very nice.
We need one of those like time lapse things. It's just
big
like
shout outs to the raids from Unmade Gaming and On the Forefronts. You guys are awesome. For the bits from Kiss Meet Eclipsed and Fallen One 121 for the 2 $5 donations. Those are some crits or bonuses for MadameGandalf and Louise that you guys will use at some point.
I'd also like to give a shout out thank you to Co-op Carrot Batons that have been keeping me going today.
And
Cheers
our
to
other
you.
non-sponsor, PG Tips.
PG Tips.
Still
We haven't
waiting.
talked about PG Tips all stream.
No, we
The
haven't.
favourite drink of Esther before he
Well,
died.
we lost our goat named
my
PG
God.
Tips, so this is gonna be a hard thing to recover from without our. PG
I'm
Tips.
finding that goat good stuff.
He's still alive.
Wait,
That's fine.
why does Esther care? Why does Esther care about
Sling's
the goat?
gone.
I
Our
told you.
Memories are melted. She's
There-
just
yeah.
sat there like, I really care about this goat for some reason.
Right. You're absolutely right. I didn't understand. You're absolutely right.
Plus, kids love animals.
Kids love goats.
10-year-olds
Love
love 15-foot tall goats.
Yeah,
Kids
yeah,
you know,
wait,
it's-
hang on. Yeah, wait, it's stuck.
All right,
Ah.
we can keep vamping while you're trying desperately to do a thing with some... Oh
I can't
wow,
put me
you've got
off.
a
Oh,
You have a thing on you.
What could that possibly be?
I don't know. It's so high
Some
up I can't.
moose
Oh, it's a
outfit or something?
goat. You have
It's
a
a-
goat. Skin
It's a double
wrapper.
unicorn.
Yeah, right.
I
A
killed this
bicorn.
goat with my bare hands.
A
Now I'm
duocorn.
wearing its skin.
Bear hands. I thought they were goat hands. This is just
Oh
silly now.
no.
All right. That's everything we have for today. Before we go, my name is Speedy. This is my channel, NotSoSpeedRuns. This game is run on 2 channels, soon to be 3. It's run on VideoStoreCowboy, who I shouted out earlier, and it's also run on Unmade Gaming, where the crew there, the Shroud, has been up to some mysterious actions, running for Alderman of Crowsfoot.
You can't even get in there.
You even go here? So make sure to go check out his side of the channel as well. There's some awesome stuff going on in this.
Do you even goat here?
Oh.
It doesn't even go to here.
Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and send you guys off on a raid, and I think I know. Who
I don't
we're
wanna
gonna
go anywhere,
raid
though.
actually. No, but you have to.
I don't want.
If you're on the channel right now, you're going there whether you like to or not.
Swear
I'm
to
leaving.
God, I will drop a lightning tower on you.
And your family.
Whoa! Don't make me come back and haunt you.
You already have. Alright, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to send a raid over to Spencer A. West. So I know Madame is familiar with Spencer.
I love Spencer.
Yeah, as another person from the Jackass podcast.
Before we go off, where can we go to catch up?
Oh yes,
YouTube.
If YouTube.
YouTube.
At the link YouTube that is there in chat.
We
If
can
you
say that the
want to
link
watch
YouTube.
all
Go
the
to
previous
youtube.com, you'll
episodes-
find it.
Go to youtube.com and Google.
Go to youtube.com and then YouTube,
YouTube.
YouTube, and you'll find him.
Yes, correct. But the link is there. If you want to catch up on previous episodes, absolutely do it. Also, the fan art giveaway. It's been shouted out in chat a few times, but we are doing a giveaway of a copy of this wonderful system, Blades in the Dark, for you to win. If you like the show enough and you make art or music or cosplay or write things.
Does a
do that
haiku
thing.
count? Because one of them was made today and it made me cry.
If I mean, yeah, haikus count. That can be an entry.
Now,
But
when you say a copy of the game, what do you mean?
a
copy of
book,
the book.
a physical book.
A physical copy of the book?
Yes.
Like that?
Like
No,
that.
not that copy.
Not
that
that
copy.
copy. That-
And rare.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the special edition, which is unfortunately in limited.
Did
That's the
Asker get
point.
you yours at Gen Con?
He did not. They ran out at Gen Con. I've tried ordering one online though for me.
What a dick. I mean,
I know. Askren.
well,
Guy.
I-
He stole my beanie once too at PAX East. Dude, I let him sleep on my couch and he walked out with my beanie. And I still go on his channel every week. But yeah, the fan art giveaway is going on. You can get more info on that via the link that's in chat. But we are going to go on a raid. I think I've shouted out all of the many things that need to be shouted out. So
Merch.
go.
Just go raid. Go raid.
The link is in chat to raid. Go ahead and copy paste the not so speed raid. Use that that not so sloth if you not so love. That's the emote that I have. If you got it.
Not so sloth.
Not
so
so
soft.
slow.
I mean, sure, it's close enough. But we're gonna go ahead and raid Spencer. So thank you guys so much for coming out and watching. It's been so much fun as always. We will see you all next time. And until then, don't forget to take it slow. Bye.